Okay, my friends, Rusty with you here. We are live on CFLW on this Monday afternoon. Running it back again. We have some healthy thunderstorms developing at the hour, including a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of the metro Orlando area. Let's get into it. As always, CFLW is sponsored by the Lien Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. Make sure you check them out by going to lienonmelaw.com. If you'd like more information. Thunderstorms are moving into Metro Orlando right now. They are potent. They are producing some tremendous lightning to go along with torrential downpours and some extremely gusty winds. And the radar again is lighting up like a Christmas tree. Our live cameras, south side of the Metro Orlando area, Winter Garden and Lake Buena Vista, all showing you some very active weather. We'll look at the other cameras coming up in just a second, but I want to get right into this area of interest. You can just see the entire map right now is basically inundated with at least special weather statements. So these are strong storms, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been extended as well. So one is about ready to expire, but the new severe thunderstorm warning is currently in effect until 4:45, and you can just see the blanket of rain moving to the area right now, including Orlando, Kissimmee, Windermere, Bay Lake, and Celebration. 60-mile-an-hour winds, 3/4 inch size hail. The wind is going to be the biggest potential impact with a lot of these storms for today, but can't rule out some small hail. Hopefully nothing more than penny sized, maybe if we're lucky even a little bit less than that, back down to pea size. But we also have to watch out for the opportunity for there to be just a little bit of rotation within some of these storms. A brief tornado or a water spout is not out of the question for today. The chance for that is low, but it's also not zero. So again, if you live in the southern side of Metro Orlando, this is a potent storm that is moving through the area right now. Let's give you some of the times of arrival on some of this activity. First of all, I want to just make sure to verify the movement of that storm for you right now. So again, east at 25. Now the one thing about these storms for today is they are going to have fast forward speed. So hopefully we limit the flood threat. But these are still torrential rainmakers, and a quick 1 to 2 inches and a snap of a finger not out of the question within some of these storms. So ponding on the roadways and some localized flooding of low-lying areas not out of the question. So tracking from the area of interest with this entire complex of storms: Oak Ridge 414, Millenia at 415, Kissimmee 416, the Meadow Woods area at 418, Buenaventura Lakes at 421, MCO, it's going to be a problem for departures and delays this afternoon, 427, Conway 428, Medical City Lake Nona around 434, and the Wedgefield area at 5 o'clock. Again, main threats with this will be some 60-mile-an-hour winds and potentially up to some 3/4 inch size hail. We can see there's a little bit of a hail possibility within this storm right now, hopefully less than a 1/2 inch in size. Again, we're replacing the one severe thunderstorm warning with a second one as this storm continues to move off towards the east. Additional storms are lining up right now throughout the area. I took off the special weather statements because they're so numerous, but I'll bring those on right now and look at this. Basically, as these storms have progressed east and southeast throughout the afternoon hours, Weather Service offices have just been hoisting up special weather statements along that entire line. This is our first severe thunderstorm warning in our area for today. But obviously the impacts again across Central Florida are going to be widespread, felt throughout the rest of the afternoon hours. Just like we've had the last couple of days, movement will be generally from west to east. Nasty thunderstorms are up through portions of Flagler County. The storm's beginning to move offshore. Rough thunderstorm over portions of Volusia County. Again, several special weather statements to check out. This one, which includes a lot of Volusia and Cibolo counties, will go until 4:45, east at 25. Again, one thing about these storms today, they're going to be fast movers, 25, 30-mile-an-hour speed, not out of the question for most of the storms. But that also means they're going to be carrying with them 30, 35, 40-mile-an-hour winds, even outside of these stronger cells, which could be producing the 50 to 60-plus mile-an-hour winds. So Deltona, Daytona Beach, Port Orange, Sanford, and Titusville. So this does sneak into portions of Brevard County as well. That's the bulletin for the National Weather Service on that storm. Again, Seminole, Northwestern Brevard, Central Orange, and Central Volusia counties until 4:45. You have a second Special weather statement here for mainly portions of Lake County. It's going to be Southwest Lake and Northwest Orange through 4:30. So places like Leesburg, Yahala, Eustis, Claremont, near the Apopka areas, all included with that one. That one, again, is racing off to the east at 30 miles an hour and is producing 50-mile-an-hour winds there. Mount Dora included in that one. And then you have an extremely large special weather statement, which goes all the way back down to the Newport Richey area. You see all of the areas of interest there. That one is moving east at nearly 40 miles an hour, and likely that is going to get a little bit more potent as we go through the next couple of hours. Special marine warnings are in effect both on the west and on the east coast for today, and we are under a risk for severe storms. Just like yesterday, the Storm Prediction Center has put most of Central Florida outside of some of the Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota areas under the marginal risk for severe storms. That, my friends, is the lay of the land on this Monday afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Let's see what's going on. I'll jump into the chat when I get a minute in just a second. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys. We'll go to our live network of cameras, a live look outside to the dark clouds feeding in from Lake County to the western sides of Orange County as we look into the Winter Garden area at this point in time. And again, just more ominous sky on the way. It's raining cats and dogs with the severe thunderstorm in the southern side of Orange County. That's a live look from the Sand Lake area looking back off towards the south and to the west. So, the thunderstorm is actually pulling away from that camera looking south and west. And when you look to the south and east from Sand Lake, now we're looking into the heart of that severe thunderstorm. Look how gray things are right now. Again, it's some rough weather in those areas. Gonna be a dark sky out there, all moving off towards the east. We'll show you what it looks like right now from Lake Buena Vista. It's another wet, stormy afternoon here. What else is new for the attractions? Again, wet roadways, some ponding on roadways with some of the heaviest storms, but the gray sky, the lightning threat, a big story. In Central Florida, we've had nearly 1,300 lightning strikes in just the past 15 minutes. And really, some of these thunderstorms are just beginning to kind of get their act together. They really began to line up fairly quickly. Now in the Conway area, if you look off towards the east from the Conway cam, a little bit of blue sky, but there's the thunderstorms that are moving through the northern and eastern sides of Orange County and into Volusia County. So that's your special weather statement storm there on the left-hand side of your screen as we look from the Lake George area on off towards the east. Okay, back out to our multicam coverage for you guys. Jumping quickly into the chat. First of all, I hope everyone is doing well. And again, got to monitor the situation. Now, look, the bottom line is, guys, the weather right now is completely all over the place, all right? There's going to be some areas where there's plenty of sun, other areas that are getting absolutely hammered, and that's the situation in Florida sometimes, right? Where you get the sunshine in some areas and others, it's just rough out there. Again, in this view, we have nearly 700 lightning strikes. This storm, quite impressive right now over the Orlando area. Tracking that worst storm right now, you're going to be looking at places like MCO in about 12 minutes, Lake Nona at 4:39, and Wedgefield in at 5:04. But the lightning count is quite high for Celebration. Right on back down towards Hunters Creek, even as far south as Kissimmee, you're going to get hit by the southern edge of this. Little cell developing on the northern side of East Lake Toho. Rough weather across I-4, slowing things down. Look, it's 4 o'clock. We're getting close to the drive time peak here, anywhere between about 4 and 5:30, and so things are really slow right now across portions of I-4 and the 408. There's the additional thunderstorms we're seeing from Union Park, Winter Park, Goldenrod, up towards UCF, up Aloma, up the 417 towards our friends in Oviedo, where there might even be some smaller hail in Oviedo right now, across the Lake Jessup area, and 46 on up 415 towards the Osteen area, back west towards Sanford and Deltona. This part of the cell working its way off towards the east. The arrival of some of that activity. Again, some of this will be already occurring and then picking up from the timeline here at 4:20. So New Smyrna at 4:23, Edgewater at 4:28, and Oak Hill at 4:41. And really, some of these areas are already getting into it, but then the core of those storms will be moving in the air and the time frame that I just mentioned. Again, if you're just tuning in, we have a huge swath of strong and severe storms working their way across central Florida at the hour, producing numerous special weather statements, one severe thunderstorm warning. Biggest impacts for today will be some winds pushing 60 miles an hour, smaller hail, and the opportunity for some rotation within some of these storms. Look, the tornado risk today is low, but it's also not zero, all right? So we have to watch out for some low-level rotation. I'll be monitoring that, especially as the storms head towards the coast. Always have a little bit of inherent rotation with that activity, but just a little bit more spin in the atmosphere overall to put that risk at least on the lower end side rather than zero. Once again, a severe thunderstorm warning for Metro Orlando till 4:45. Additional stronger storms blanket this line from the Daytona Beach area back into Sanford. And just speaking of my friends in Sanford right now, again, good storm southeast side right over the airport. They just reported a 36-mile-an-hour wind at 3:53. And, even outside of the strongest storms for today, you're going to see 40, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts that could easily accompany some of the, more moderate cells and 30 to 40-mile-an-hour winds outside of most of the worst activity. And even back into Pasco County right now, we have this special weather statement here. So even over towards Holiday in Newport Richey. Again, look how many areas included with this special weather statement for the next 8 minutes. The movement is fast right now at nearly 40 miles an hour. Okay, back into the chat. Hope everyone's doing well. Obviously, a lot going on. I'll do the best that I can here to keep you guys up to date with what's happening. Let's get into the chat. Believer, for life. It's thundering and pouring here in Metro West. Appreciate that. Let's see. Elizabeth is in the chat from New Smyrna saying it looks and sounds wicked. A lot of that is going to be a situation for today for many areas. Amy in the chat, one of our moderators, says it is getting hammer time there in the Metro West area. Diane from Intersection City saying dark clouds, raining and thundering. Matron of Raisins says it's looking like midnight over here. I'm keeping going. Good to see everyone. We got Tampa in the house. Good afternoon to you. Riverview. Now again, an area where there hasn't been a lot of rain, and when it's not raining, it's toasty, 92 degrees in the Riverview area. Appreciate all of the chat. Again, that helps me out, gives me an idea of what's happening in your area. As always, you got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer this. Now look, they have upped this storm. This is a bad storm right now over the southern side of Metro Orlando. This is a considerable damaging event. Do you see that word? How many times have you seen this on my live stream? Very little. This is left for the highest end of severe thunderstorm potential. So we have up to 70-mile-an-hour winds in association with this storm. Look, if you are in the path of this storm, you have to seek shelter immediately. Get off the roads, get away from west-facing windows, put yourself in interior spaces of your home. 70-mile-an-hour winds can pick up some pretty heavyweight objects and blow them into structures, including your home. This is a dangerous situation right now. Central, southeast sides of Metro Orlando. 70-mile-an-hour winds are pushing hurricane-force winds. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 4:45. Winds of 70 miles an hour right now. Severe thunderstorm located near Buenaventura Lakes, moving east at 25. Expect considerable tree damage. Damage is likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. Orlando, Kissimmee, Buenaventura Lakes, East Lake Tahoe, and Oak Ridge all included within this. Again, a lot of lightning in association with this as well, but it is about the wind that is in effect. Now, I'm going to keep checking our observation areas too. I want to make sure that we're getting our observations. We are. So I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes when they up this, they have gotten a report, maybe even out of the airport, but I don't see a report for wind out of the airport as of yet. But look, obviously, they are quite concerned. Apologies for that. We got to stick with this storm for now, guys. Quite concerned about the opportunity for what's going to be happening. Now, I also want to do a couple of things here to cover this storm as much as I possibly can for you. So I'm going to switch over here. The Winter Garden camera is a good camera, but I'm going to replace that right now with our Epic Cam because that is right in the heart of this severe thunderstorm. So you can clearly see the dark sky in association with that severe thunderstorm right now. So we've got your live cameras here at CFLW keeping you safe and ahead of these storms. Again, considerable 70-mile-an-hour winds in association with this storm. Let's track it for you guys. As we've mentioned, the Turnpike, 441, Hunters Creek, Kissimmee. If you guys live in these areas, let me know in the comment section below what you're seeing. It's tracking right along the 417. The next areas, Medical City, Lake Nona, big populated area, southeast side of Orange County. If you live in Lake Nona, seek your shelter area now. Try and get the cars indoors, but just make sure that you are inside to let this significant storm cross over your area. This goes as far north as Oak Ridge in the Millennia area, Tangelo Park, Sky Lake, Bellevue, Edgewood, our Conway cam. I'll switch over to our Conway cam in a minute as well. And again, maybe even some hail. This storm is going to slam into MCO. So MCO, we've got our automated reporting station here. We're going to get a great idea of exactly the winds that are associated with that. Of course, if necessary, I can always go to the terminal velocity, the terminal radar here out of MCO to take a look at what we're seeing. Looking at the winds right now from the Melbourne radar site, we're picking up 50 and 60-mile-an-hour winds here. I think it's probably worthy to try and switch over to the radar here out. Wait just 1 second here, guys. As you guys know, this can get finicky from time to time. All right. Let's get the radar on. Let's go to velocity mode. So if you guys don't know, each big airport has a radar called a terminal radar, TMCO, for Orlando. And we can take a look at that radar and we can take a look at the winds associated with that. So this is why they issued the 70, because at the ground level right now, they're picking up at least 60, 63 in Buenaventura Lakes. And that is right at the radar site. That right now is 67 feet above sea level, above elevation. So you're talking about this storm absolutely producing 60 and 70-mile-an-hour winds in a pretty wide swath. That beam is just above the ground. I mean, you can't get a better analysis than that. So we do have 60 and 70-mile-an-hour winds over Buenaventura Lakes. That's the Turnpike, by the way, 91. And it's moving right towards where the radar is. And that is south of places like MCO. But again, significant wind along 417, along the Turnpike, back down towards Kissimmee as well. When you guys see these blues, those are winds of over 60 miles an hour on this right here. So here you go. Again, Buenaventura Lakes, significant, 84. Okay, so what this is a big downburst, okay? Dry wind, dry air at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, storm coming in, collapsing that, pushing out these damaging downburst winds right over Buenaventura Lakes, maybe up to 85 miles an hour. This is a classic downburst scenario right now, west side of Buenaventura Lakes, right over the Turnpike. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is for 70. I'm picking up potentially up to 85-mile-an-hour winds right now. Couple of different areas. This is not a radar glitch. This is a huge area of downburst winds, comes down, pushes out in all directions, straight line. There's not rotation with it. This is not a tornado, right? Again, all of these are one color, but these are downburst winds coming in with these thunderstorms, and they can produce the damage of a small tornado. So this is absolutely significant. Again, they've even widened this area, looks like a little bit more. So severe thunderstorm warning, considerable Dark sky from Sand Lake. We're looking right back into this area. Obviously, it's so water loaded, we can't really even see that much from our Sand Lake cameras here, but you're getting the idea of what's happening. Again, anyone who lives in this area, first of all, get away from west-facing windows. Look, you guys know me. I've been on long enough. I've been doing this for 25 plus years. Nothing crazy excites me, meaning that I don't wish for severe weather. So you know what I'm talking to you seriously. It's an important matter. This is so significant wind. You got to get away from west-facing windows. You got to make sure that lightweight objects in your property are secure, but just get everyone safe and inside and away from the west-facing windows. Again, the movement of this right now is going to be from west to east, okay? So I'm going to bring on the telestrator real quick. So you have this big pocket, and you can see it's moving. And these are downburst winds, and they're moving in this direction right now. They're likely to go right over the radar. But now a few scans in a row, we have seen 75 to 85 mile an hour winds. And again, the beam level is about 60 feet above the surface. These winds are right at ground level. This is a big concern right now in the Buenaventura Lakes area, crossing just east of the turnpike. Just taking a look at the radar. So again, we switched over to the terminal Doppler out of the Orlando airport just because it's going to give us the best view of this extremely significant storm. Buenaventura Lakes, even down towards Kissimmee. 417, up towards Cimarron, MCO. The severe thunderstorm goes as far north as Conway. I want to take a second. I'm going to switch over from Lake Buena Vista, which continues to improve. I'm going to switch over to our Conway cam. Okay. So on the northern side of this, look what's happening in Conway right now. This is well away from the worst part of this storm. Okay. Check, check. I'm hearing myself now. Check, check. We need to get the speaker of the computer off. I don't know what happened. Sorry, guys. Check, check, check. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm hearing myself now because I think something happened. But if my engineer can hear me, I got to get that speaker off of the computer because now I can hear myself. All right, so you're looking at Conway right now. And again, this thunderstorm is absolutely tremendous moving through. And I apologize if there's an echo. We're working to get that fixed. But again, that thunderstorm moving through the Conway area at this point in time, look at the lightning associated with that. It's absolutely tremendous moving through that area right now. Go back over to our 3 box. Let's talk about what's happening back down into Conway. Okay? From Conway back down towards Buenaventura Lakes. 70 mile an hour winds, 3/4 inch size hail. This is a considerable storm that is moving through this area. Again, I've been tracking winds of maybe even up to 85 miles an hour from the southeast side of Sand Lake back down towards MCO and the 417. Again, thunderstorm quite potent in that area. I'm going to try and talk a little bit less until we get this fixed because I don't know if you guys can hear that echo or not. Again, in this area right here, Buenaventura Lakes. I know it is not fixed. The internal speaker of the computer is pumping my mic back into me right now. All right, gang, so let's set a scenario again. We have a considerable thunderstorm moving through the Buenaventura Lakes area at this point in time, heading right towards the terminal Doppler radar of the airport. This is a ball of very concentrated winds that have been up to 75 and even 85 miles an hour, all right? Continuing to work its way off towards the east. It's on the southwest side of this severe thunderstorm warning. This severe thunderstorm warning goes all the way up the beach line and then into areas like Avalon Park and Wedgefield, with some extremely strong winds that will continue to rip across the 417, right over Narcoossee, and areas including the central and the northern sides of East Lake Toho. Can you guys hear the echo? Let me know. Yeah, a bit of an echo. I understand. Give us 1 second here, guys. I think we might have fixed it. Okay. I think we're fixed. All right. Apologies for that, guys. So let's get into this. Let me reset. I got to get my thoughts back. We have a severe thunderstorm warning with significant damage potential in the south central and the southeast sides of the metro Orlando area. Winds right now from the National Weather Service with this severe thunderstorm warning up to 70 miles an hour. But I have been clocking winds within this that could have been reaching 75 and 85 miles an hour across 441, the Turnpike, and the Buenaventura Lakes area. Again, when you see these bright greens, this is significant wind in association with this storm, right? I'm going to track them for you one more time here. And you can see our live camera network for you guys from Conway to the southeast side of Orlando. Let's take a look at the winds in association with this storm. The brighter the green, the stronger the winds. And it's absolutely ripping right over the terminal Doppler right now. Now, earlier we had 85 mile an hour winds here. I'm not picking that up as much now, but there still are going to be some winds in the 50 to 60 plus mile an hour range. So right over the radar, up towards the 417 and on over towards Medical City. Again, this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. When you see the word considerable, what that means is that damage is likely with this storm. Right now, it is in the form of winds that could be in excess of 70 miles an hour. If you live on the southern and southeast sides of the metro Orlando area, please seek shelter. This is a very dangerous situation when you're talking about those kinds of storms. Another special weather statement has been extended from the west side of the metro Orlando area up towards portions of Volusia and Brevard counties. Again, right now we're looking at the terminal Doppler out of MCO, so it's a smaller scan. I'm going to switch over to Melbourne in just a second as the National Weather Service office has extended the severe thunderstorm warning. So again, resetting the scenario right now as we hit 4:40 in the 4:40 in the afternoon, my friends. We have numerous special weather statements from Daytona Beach all the way back down towards Titusville and the metro Orlando area. An extremely strong, destructive storm is currently moving through the south central and the southeast sides of metro Orlando. You can see the live cameras from the Sand Lake area back towards Conway. Again, potentially 70 to 85 mile an hour winds with this storm. Have to watch out for some hail that could also be 3/4 inch in size. Hopefully no more than that. We'll see what information we get. Right now, MCO's latest report was a 35 mile an hour wind, but back down here in the Buenaventura Lakes area, we're likely to hear about some damage, to be quite honest, because the amount of wind that just pushed through there with these downburst winds were quite significant. The new severe thunderstorm warning will go into effect until 5:15. Again, these storms are going to have fast forward speed. When I first came on, I told you The problem with a fast forward speed is now you're going to have these storms producing 30 and 40 mile an hour winds regardless of what else happens in the mechanisms of the storms, and it's not going to take much to get to 50 and 60, and we've already seen a 70. So another big swath of at least 60 mile an hour winds moving across places like Orlando, Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Wedgefield, and the Orlando International Airport. This is the new bulletin for the National Weather Service Office. The new severe thunderstorm warning will include southeast Orange and northeast Osceola, winds of 60. That severe thunderstorm again right over the Narcoossee area, just southeast of Lake Nona. 60 mile an hour winds. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Now, if I show you the bulletin with the previous severe thunderstorm warning that's still in effect, is going to expire at 4:45. The impacts were considerable. Tree damage is likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. So structural damage likely within some of these areas. And the one that I noted with the likelihood of damage is going to be over Buenaventura Lakes. Okay. The echoes should be gone, guys. We just had an internal speaker issue in one of our computers, but it was corrected fairly quickly. Appreciate you sticking with me. Again, if you live in these areas, you're also going to see low base to these clouds, potentially a little bit of broad rotation within this, right? Everything that I was seeing with the strongest winds were all straight line, but we have to watch out for a brief tornado risk too. Can't rule that out. Notice how the storms have very quickly lined up. Now you have a solid line of storms from Kissimmee all the way up to the New Smyrna Beach, Edgewater area. Even behind that, we still have some significant storms for Daytona Beach and Port Orange. And our new special weather statement does extend as far west as the Winter Garden area. Let's go over to our camera network. As you guys know, we have our live cams here across Central Florida. Live look outside to the Conway area where it is pouring down rain at this point in time. Maybe lightening up a bit, but again, this is on the northern side of that severe thunderstorm warning. New special weather statement for Winter Garden, and again, it's coming down pretty heavily. Dark gray skies, a tremendous amount of intensity and lift in the atmosphere today. It got hot before these storms came through, and we're having some mid-level kicks of energy move into the area as well. So you live in the west side of Orange County, you're going to get hit pretty good. Shove cloud again returning to Sand Lake. Look at that lowering coming into the Sand Lake area. Now again, this is behind the severe thunderstorm. So this is not the severe thunderstorm. This is behind that at this point in time, coming back into the Metro Orlando area. Then from our Epic Cam, so basically Sand Lake again, but now looking southeast. By the way, we call this our Epic Cam because behind those stands of trees is Epic Universe, the new Universal theme park. We can see the fireworks from this camera at night. Look at the low base to those clouds again as well. So situation continues to be a significant thunderstorm with considerable damaging wind impacts moving through the south central and the southeast side of Metro Orlando right now. Again, I'm live on this Monday afternoon covering impactful storms for you across Central Florida. Good to see everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I'll go quad box right now. Again, we have a lot of technology here to bring you guys these live updates. Winter Garden on the top of your screen. We've got a camera, by the way, as well, just 1 mile from the Disney property, Lake Buena Vista. The Magic Kingdom is just a mile behind that stand of trees you guys see there. I do want to bring up our Sand Lake camera again on this view. I have the ability to just switch out these cameras and monitor the situation for you, but we'll stay on this quad box. I have not had an opportunity to get back into the chat. Once again, we do have our moderators. So if you guys have a question, our moderators are listening intently, and there's several of them. They'll try and pass along the information. When I get into this mode, guys, it's about keeping everyone safe. I wish I had a second to get back into the chat. I will once this eases up a little bit, but we've still got a storm that is producing damaging winds as we speak. Now on the southern flank of this, Kissimmee just reported a 48 mile an hour wind about 13 minutes ago, but Kissimmee was even farther south than where I was picking up these 75 to 85 mile an hour winds for a time over the Buenaventura Lakes area. This is moving over Lake Toho as we speak. This is moving over Medical City It's getting bad over Lake Nona right now as well. Likely within this entire swath, we're seeing winds of 40 and 50 miles an hour. Fairly common, right? Gusts to 40 and 50, and again, likely up to 60. Hopefully no more 70 plus. Again, you don't see the considerable word on that screen anymore. It means that this is what we would call the general severe thunderstorm warning, but there is still significant winds being pushed out of this, and some damage to homes and property are likely within those storms. Obviously, they're going to be able to take down some tree limbs, so power outages become a big issue as well. If you see this green line, that's the outflow boundary. That's the gust front from these storms. So St. Cloud just had the gust front come through. You live in Harmony, you're going to feel that cold push of air. That's the gust front, and then the winds are going to shift directions. Even up towards Conway, you see in the top right-hand side of your screen, a ton of lightning. Even in downtown Orlando right now, even though we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning, we've had nearly 200 lightning strikes produced out of this cell that is situated right over downtown Orlando. It is going to be a rough drive home across the 408. The 408 is absolutely covered up right now with heavy rain and storms. It's a little bit better across the 429. It is also very bad across the 417 and portions of the beach line. So a little bit broader view again here. We have our special weather statement from western Orange County up through portions of central and southern Volusia counties. Severe thunderstorm ongoing right now in the metro Orlando area. Additional storms over portions of Polk County. Few scattered showers, non-severe out west, but more rain is likely to develop and kind of fill in the radar back into Hillsborough and portions of Pinellas County as well. Okay. One more look at our Sand Lake camera. Bring that up for you again. That's Southeast Sand Lake, our Epic Cam. On over towards Conway. So see, someone in chat was mentioning Oviedo. Well, all right, guys, I'm just looking at a couple things behind the scenes here real quick. Show you what I'm looking at. I'm going to go back out to our 3-box here. Come on. Excuse me one second. Okay. You guys were mentioning Oviedo. I'll take a look. I don't see anything here, guys. All straight line winds, all green, all going the same direction. Now look, the winds are going to be significant across this entire area. It might feel and look like a brief tornado because the winds could be, again, 70 plus miles an hour. That's not out of the question, all right? Just checking local storm reports, seeing if we had anything come out of here yet. And I can always switch over to the velocity here too. Again, that's just that wind that's just feeding and blowing on the north side of this. So that red there, you see how it's all linear up to the green? That's just a big push of wind that's come through Avalon Park, Alafaya, UCF, Winter Park, and that's blowing north and east. Potential little garbled area over the beach line, but the wind profile is not significant with that. Again, these winds over Lake Toho right now are absolutely ripping. At least 50 miles an hour into St. Cloud, up towards Medical City, Narcoossee, areas like this. It's a big wind bag right now coming through with that gust front on the leading edge. All right. I'm happy with what I was seeing there as far as there's no tornado warnings. Nothing that I saw screams that. There's going to be some SLCs today, guys. There's going to be some scary looking clouds. There's going to be some lower bases. There's going to be some rotation. Look, again, the tornado threat is low, but it's also not zero, okay? I'm happy to keep an eye on things, but we'll see how that goes. All right, again, if you're just tuning in, considerable severe thunderstorm right now over portions of the southern sides of Metro Orlando. This storm has the history, I'm telling you right now, of at least producing 70-mile-an-hour winds, but we were tracking 75 and nearly 85-mile-an-hour winds out of this storm. The brunt of that storm right now is over Kissimmee, Buenaventura Lakes, Medical City, Meadow Woods, Lake Nona, MCO, up towards the Conway area and Avalon Park. Now, that is the northern extent of our severe thunderstorm warning, and then it takes over a special weather statement. But I'm telling you right now, the special weather statement area is probably just as strong right now as the severe thunderstorm warning area, where we could still see some winds from time to time try and eke up to that 50+ mile-an-hour range, maybe even over 60 for an area or two. So it's a slow go as we head towards 5 o'clock for downtown Orlando, Conway, Azalea Park, Baldwin Park, Winter Park, Alafaya, Avalon Park, the Bithlo area, UCF, Chuliota, and Oviedo. All of this continues to work off towards the south and to the east. So if you live in places like Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, and eventually all of Brevard County, these storms are headed your way. History of damaging winds associated with that. If you live in these areas, south and east of this line, get ready for the storms to move in. We continue to see the rain just like yesterday, guys, right? Moderate rain behind the initial line, still a fair amount of lightning at the hour as well. From our view, I'll bring back on the lightning count here. From our view right now, over 700 lightning strikes. It is concentrated in a lot of areas, but the rainfall, again, is still quite significant with some embedded lightning still well behind the initial line of storms. If you live in places like Winter Haven and Lakeland, back west towards Brandon, Tampa, St. Pete, a few storms are developing here, mainly just some lighter rain at this point in time. We have had some winds here from time to time as well. 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts there in the Hernando area. So there's one with a report there. So I'll be monitoring our local storm reports as we go through the rest of the afternoon hours as well. Inverness also had a 40-mile-an-hour wind a little bit earlier at 3:10. So as these storms moved inland, they did produce some gusty winds and some stronger weather up in our northern areas as well. But again, right now, the focus is going to be from central sides of Volusia County back into Metro Orlando and areas back off towards the east. Severe thunderstorm warning continues here for the next 21 minutes. So it continues until 5:15. The storms are moving fast today, guys. They're going to have forward speed 25, even 30 miles an hour. They're going to be big old wind bags. They're going to be producing a ton of wind in a wide swath of area. It's not just going to be the strongest cells that have the opportunity to produce 30, 40, and even 50-mile-an-hour winds. I would expect gusts like that up and down the entire line, but then potentially as we have some drier level air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we get those downburst winds where kind of the thunderstorm collapses on itself, comes down, rushes the air at the surface, and then comes out, and we could have the peak winds just like we saw a little bit earlier in Buenaventura Lakes. In the chat, if you guys don't mind, in the chat, let me know if anyone lives in that area where I saw the most significant wind. So if you do live in like the Buenaventura Lakes area, maybe even Kissimmee, maybe Meadow Woods or the south side of Lake Nona, let me know in the comment section below what you guys saw from there. I'd appreciate that. Hey Mike, how you doing? Good to see you. Again, thank you for everyone in the chat, first of all, right? Haven't had as much time as I normally do to get into the chat We've been so busy. This is some significant severe weather to keep you guys safe, but I'll try and get back in there from time to time, regardless of whether I read it. Just know everyone else is. So keep that chat coming. Let me know if some of our moderators could point out if there is an idea of any damage across Metro Orlando, including Bonaventura Lakes. That would be great as well. Nicole's near Lake Toho. Everything's moving off towards the east, Bob, east to southeast. Movement today is east to southeast. I'll put this into motion for you guys real quick. This will be a loop over the last 30 minutes. That's it. But you get the idea, just like yesterday. Storm movement is east to southeast. You can see the leading edge of that gust front coming through. Along that, we have significant weather. As a matter of fact, as I've been talking, you can clearly see they've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for now northern areas of Metro Orlando and north and east. So that's the movement. Behind it, still additional moderate rain. All right, just like yesterday, unlikely to see the storms pulse back up. It's a little bit later in the day, so generally speaking, as this line moves through, you get past it, the weather should begin to slowly improve, but not completely clear out in any stretch of the imagination for at least the next several hours. But my concern right now is going to be for what's on that leading edge. Just resetting my computer real quick, guys, to bring you guys the latest information. So let's get into the new severe thunderstorm. I mentioned 2 minutes ago that this area was just as bad as this area. Well, now the Weather Service agrees, and they put a severe thunderstorm warning on that one. So this is the latest for this severe thunderstorm warning until 5:30. Fast forward speed again, east around 25, 60-mile-an-hour winds, 3/4 inch size hail. One of the biggest differences between the storms today and what we typically see here in Florida is that a lot of times when they issue severe thunderstorm warning with a polygon like this, the peak winds of 60 are fairly concentrated to a few spots. It's not the case today. Up and down this entire line, we could again have 40, 50, and 60-mile-an-hour winds. So if you are within these polygons, you have to take the threat for damaging winds quite seriously for today. Let me give you the actual bulletin from the National Weather Service office on this one. 4 counties: Southeast Seminole, Northwest Brevard, Southeast Orange, and Southeast Volusia until 5:30. Thunderstorm over the Christmas area, moving east at 25, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Expect damage to roof, siding, and trees. And again, this moving quickly off towards the east. We can track that storm for you. So Indian River City with that part of the cell until 5:30. I'm going to do more of a broad sweep here. We're going to pick up this part of the storm, move it south and east at 25. So again, getting into Brevard County, Titusville 517, Indian River City 519, Port St. John 525, and the Sharps area at 532. If you live in Brevard County, these storms are headed your way. Again, live look to our camera network here across Central Florida. You see the storms still in the Metro Orlando area. You see what has been left over, still an extremely dark sky from our southeast Sand Lake camera. Again, that's the direction the camera is pointing, so it's looking south and east into the western edge of our severe thunderstorms. Conway is just on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning as everything begins to move away. And these severe thunderstorm warnings are bracketed right now by larger special weather statements. So special weather statement is one rung below a severe thunderstorm warning. Remember, there's only 2 criteria for a severe thunderstorm: 60-mile-an-hour winds and or inch-size hail. Hey, Smart Grandma, thank you for joining the Storm Squad. Memberships are open here at Central Florida Weather if you want to help or become a member if you want to support the channel in that way. Appreciate Smart Grandma for becoming the newest member of the channel. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Smart Grandma. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that as well. Again, thanks for taking a quick second. If you're getting anything out of this live stream, quick favor, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button. This is a live only channel. I am only on streaming live when there's impactful weather in Central Florida. So have those notifications on as well. Again, if you have all notifications on, you see that I'm on, you know there's a reason to tune in. Appreciate everyone joining me on this late Monday afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Once again, in the chat, if you've been impacted by these storms, let us know. If you have a question about the forecast, I'll do my best to answer that. Hopefully, with all the technology we have here on the channel, a lot of this will be very evident to you guys. You have what's going on in your area and the potential for the significance. 60-mile-an-hour winds is a 3/4 inch size hail, as well as the time of expiration. Back over to our live camera network. Again, hefty storms moving through the southwest side of the Metro Orlando area. Now, they're not as potent right now, but that's still a very gray sky over the southwest sides of Metro Orlando. We'll switch it on over to our Epic Cam, continuing to show you just the gray sky there in that area. And again, slightly improved because we see a little bit of a gray contrast. So we're looking at the tail end of that severe thunderstorm working its way through the area, but obviously still a pretty gnarly sky there. Rain is still falling, battering Lake George and the Conway area as we look off towards the east. Again, strong thunderstorm here as that storm continues to pull away from the area at this point in time. But again, leftover, still a lot of lightning and a really rough drive home across Metro Orlando. And if you think you're just done, well, this is what it looks like in the western side of Orange County right now. So we're farther west. The special weather statement extends this far west. And there's a tremendous amount of lightning and heavy rain still going for places like Apopka, down towards Ocoee, Winter Garden, the Hamlin area, all the way down the 429 towards Western Way and the back way to get into the Disney properties as well. So that's the look from our cameras. We'll go back quad box here for you guys as well, so you guys can stay attuned to the situation. Now, storms are beginning to sharpen up a bit south of our severe thunderstorm warning as well. So south of Kissimmee, back through portions of central sides of Polk County, places like Winter Haven, Haines City, Davenport, could continue to see heavier rain developing there with the opportunity for some stronger wind gusts, maybe over 40 miles an hour. Look, at this point in time, there's not a special weather statement in that area, but not surprise me if this is the next spot that picks up the next special weather statement here. Again, winds along this entire line, 40 plus miles an hour in a lot of locations. Winter Haven at 22, but just beginning to kind of see those storms developing there. And then on the northern side of this, still raining quite moderately to heavy at times for Ormond and Daytona Beaches. They've had wind gusts at the hour of over 30 miles an hour there. Special weather statement gets as far north as New Smyrna Beach. Okay, so for Volusia County coastal areas, worst weather, New Smyrna south, right on down to US 1, Edgewater, down towards Oak Hill. Then you get into the severe thunderstorm warning, and that storm is picking up over Mims and Titusville as we speak. Big ball of lightning, intense reflectivity. Do you guys see these fuchsias here? That's high reflectivity on my map. The opportunity that there could certainly be some embedded hail within this. The hail size today is not as of a concern, but we could still pick up some 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch size hail. And again, you'll see the big weather headlines, if you will, there at the bottom of your screen, the impacts I expect, and then of course more details scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Please remember as well that CFLW is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. There's their website. If you want to become a sponsor of the channel, scan the QR code on the top left-hand side of your screen. If you're a business here in Central Florida and you want to be a part of our coverage, let me know. If you want to support us by being a sponsor of one of our cameras, you can do so as well. Again, that QR code will get you to our email and we can discuss things. So appreciate the support that way as well. Again, like Smart Grandma, like Mike, like others, if you are a member of the channel, your name will be in green in our chat. You have access to exclusive badges and emojis, but you also have access to exclusive member short videos. From time to time, I'll put out some exclusive member short videos in between these live updates. Let's track this part of the severe thunderstorm that's moving in. Now, this is not going to include what's already going on in the Titusville area, but the next line of storms coming into northern Brevard County. Time of arrival looks like this. Indian River City, 525. Same thing for Titusville, Port St. John at 529. Again, expect in these areas winds approaching 60 miles an hour and maybe some 3/4 inch size hail. The tornado threat today is low, but it's not zero. So from time to time, you guys will see me switch over to this product. This is the velocity product from the radar sites. It lets me look at the wind fields, that can be embedded within some high precipitation. So if we're looking for some rotation, when you guys see all green on this map, that is a good sign. The bad sign is when you see bright reds next to bright greens, because that means there are winds that are going in different directions close to each other, showing that there is some rotation. Then I have to start doing a lot more analysis. But I don't like the fact that the winds are strong and that they're widespread, producing some potential damage. I do like the fact that they're all straight line winds. They're going in one direction. Now, we know, and I've mentioned this several times on the channel, as these storms cross over the Indian and the Banana Rivers, you get the much less friction of the waterways, and there is inherent rotation associated with that. So you do get some spin that is likely to develop with some of these storms, and there's already a bit of broad rotation with them anyway. So we do have to keep a vigilant eye on these cells as they cross over the Indian River, over to portions of Merritt Island and the Cape, to just make sure nothing gets squirrely. But again, a brief tornado, a brief waterspout, not out of the question given the environment that we have for today as well. Back into Metro Orlando, the downtown area, I promise you, it is still raining quite heavily. It's drive home time on this Monday. I hope everyone's paying attention. The one thing with fast-moving storms at 25, 30 miles an hour is that they're likely not producing big areas of flood, right? They're moving so quick, even though their rainfall rates are 4, 5, 6 inches an hour, they're just not sitting over one area long enough to cause big problems in that way. If I switch over to our precip rate map real quickly, and I don't want to stick too long with this, and by the way, there's your new special weather statement south as we discussed. You are going to see some pockets embedded within this line that are in the blacks and the blues. That is indicative of at least 3-inch per hour rainfall rates, but towards UCF and University Park, we have over 4 inches per hour right now. The Bithlo Wedgefield area, about 4 inches per hour. And that thunderstorm over Titusville and Mims, 3.5 to 4 inches there. So pockets of extremely heavy rain, but with fast-moving cells, we limit the threat for flooding because the heavy rain is in and out of one spot fairly quickly. Now, that being said, with that kind of rainfall rates, would I expect some ponding on roadways and some flooding of low-lying areas? Absolutely. Come on. Let's see here real quick. We're waiting for a scan from the Melbourne radar. Okay, no big deal. We'll let that come back on real quick. As we do so, I want to go back over to our live camera network, and I might actually have a chance to jump into the chat for the first time in about forever. So again, appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for letting me know what's happening in your area. Thanks for the kind words, Bob. And again, thanks for saying that. Hope you're well. Okay, Jared, thank you for that. I got that. I got your message. We got some blowing loose branches and increasing in volume. Where Lady Q is. A Martinez showing you again, the problem here is that now we have standstill traffic, and that's going to be a concern in the Metro Orlando area. There are going to be some spots that probably aren't moving very quickly for a time. So going to be a situation here where we're going to have some issues with some of the travel. Wingman is in the house saying bad in Audubon and Baldwin Parks. Again, appreciate everyone coming in. I'm just picking out a few of you guys. Dolores says the BVL pool screens are all blown down. It's another issue. Again, damage to structures with some of these storms, very likely. Big wind field, 60 plus miles an hour. All right. Big wind field. Okay, so here we go. Again, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name, but I'm going to call you A. Buenaventura, winds tore my trees apart. And I first of all, thank you so much for taking a moment. dropping in the chat what happened in your area. First of all, our thoughts are with you. Sucks to have any damage with these storms, but letting us know that there's ground truth information with the storms that we were following kind of really tells the story. And again, this is a live interactive channel, and you guys letting me know what's happening in your chat, in the chat, really helps me out in real time. So I appreciate that, and I'm very sorry that's happening to you. This is going to be very common across the area here. And look, it's still ongoing. Potentially the storms are beginning to lessen a bit in the Orlando area, but for a lot of us, we're going to see a lot of tree limbs down along the path of these cells, which are now getting deeper into Orange County, the northern sides of Osceola County, and throughout Brevard County. These are the next stops, if you will, for the opportunity for the most damaging winds. And the biggest issue with the storms for today is that the wind field is so expansive. It's not just, again, these little higher end cells. If you look at all of these winds, you just have the tremendous area of just reports all the time now from all of our reporting stations of at least 25 mile an hour winds, but 30, 40, and 50. And again, you know, we might eventually get some reports in the Buenaventura Lakes area that tracking it live for you guys, maybe 75 and 85 mile an hour winds. Hey, Extra P Plumbing, good to see you. I hope you're well. And appreciate everyone jumping in. Pedro says that St. Cloud is crazy right now, heavy rain and winds. Yeah, it's nasty in the northern sides of Osceola County, right here. Again, history of 50 mile an hour winds at Kissimmee. So the storm right now, 432. So this part of the line that moved through Kissimmee produced 50 mile an hour winds. And there could even be some small pea-sized hail. But yes, St. Cloud getting absolutely hammered. You know, you got a problem here because you got the turnpike, you got the 192 intersection into 441. It's always a slow go on the turnpike through this area. It always slows down, and now you have blinding rainfall, and it becomes a problem. And so those who are in the chat who are maybe, you know, first of all, if you're driving, do not put anything in the chat unless you're at a full stop. But if you are taking me along for the ride, okay, first of all, listen, don't watch. But it's not going to get any better for the east side of Metro Orlando anytime soon. And they've now just continued, as we've talked about, to spread the special weather statements farther and farther south. So the one here is for 50 mile an hour winds that includes Holopaw, West Lake Toho, Point Siena, Harmony, and the Alligator Lake area. And then into Polk County, you have a special weather statement for 40 mile an hour wind. That's going to be very widespread for Winter Haven, Haines City, Lake Wales, other areas, including Point Siena again, Davenport, Cypress Gardens / Legoland, and the Inwood areas, amongst others. Now back over to northern Brevard County. The cell right over Titusville, Indian River City is quite impressive. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for the next 16 minutes, so until 5:30. When you see these fuchsia and blue colors, these neon colors, that's the high-end reflectivity on the radar. So likely that is a little bit of smaller hail ingested in with some torrential downpours. And I-95 is covered up as well. Not going to be a pretty sight for traveling across I-95, US 1 and A1A in Brevard County. We're going to have two special weather statements expire at 5:15. You can see those counting down literally to the 10th of a second here. This severe thunderstorm warning is also going to go away for now at 5:15, but this is likely a reset for the National Weather Service offices as to what they want to do as this line continues to propagate to the south and to the east. Yes, a Category 1 marginal risk, Global Weather Center. Storm Prediction Center put us under a marginal risk. So 1 out of 5. It's hard to get to a slight risk here in Florida with the tornado threat being a little bit lower, but 1 out of 5 again for today. We've had numerous marginal risks the last several days. Checking in on Winter Haven right now. Winter Haven is dark, some thunder, but wind seems to be calm at the moment. Appreciate the update. Keep me updated there too as well. Kevin says there's some thunder right now in Lakeland. Brevard County wants to check in. That would be great too. Again, I'm just swiping through the chat as fast as I can here, guys. Alafaya, massive downpour, high winds, and of course thunder and lightning. Anyone have any power outages? Let me know. Jared says just got pitch black in the Port St. John area. Yeah, it is northern Brevard County right now that we're going to really focus in on, guys. This is the area with the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, extremely dark SLCs, scary looking clouds, lower bases to them, some broad rotation, water-loaded atmosphere. So a tremendous amount of torrential rain. But again, these storms are moving fast today. This severe thunderstorm warning is for a forward speed east at 25 miles an hour. So that does limit the opportunity for flooding. But you notice that this severe thunderstorm warning has 0.88 inch size hail. That's nickel-sized hail, okay? So nickel-sized hail is basically the cutoff for the potential for damage. You get nickel-sized hail, you're likely to have some damage to your roof and to your cars. So hopefully we don't have a lot of nickel-sized hail embedded within this. I'm going to switch over to a couple of different hail products real quick just to see, because I want to give our friends in this area some alerts if we pick up any hail out of this. Okay, so we do. So this is going to be a problem. And I really hope that hopefully this is just congested with water, meaning that this is such a water-loaded storm that the product is picking up the large hydrometeors rather than actual ice pellets. But let's just say if you live in Indian River City, I want the cars inside. Even in Titusville, again, it's for 0.88, so we're getting there. I hope that this is an overdone. Now that we have the new scan, it looks like it is. But again, this is right on that. 0.7 here. Port St. John, Jared. Nearly inch potential hail here. Another potential hail core west of Sharps. Again, I hope it's not that large. But if you do live in Brevard County, you got to buckle up for the opportunity for some potential larger hail, maybe up to an inch in size in some spots. It's going to cause some damage. Again, get the cars inside if you can. Now look, if the thunderstorm is over you, it's not worth the risk. Don't try and get out and about with it. You know, the time is already done. But if you live east and south of where this severe storm is, try and give yourself a little bit in the way to protect yourself a bit. Seeing if, so yeah, my radar is picking up a cell just north and west of Port St. John. The individual cell is moving south at 30, producing inch-sized hail. So it does look like we do have some large embedded hail associated with that. If it does track south more than east, you can see the times of arrival here, right? So again, here at the channel, literally down to the street, I can show you guys the times of arrival to the very second based on the forward speed. And today, they're moving fast. Now guess what? They've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning just a little bit farther south. So they also believe that these storms are going to have a little bit more south push. If you guys remember the storms yesterday, okay? East Coast sea breeze is pinned along the coast. As the storms get to the coast, they slow up in forward speed. And they don't move as quickly along the coast, and they kind of drag down the coast or up the coast, depending on the scenario that's in play. But a new severe thunderstorm warning is going to go all the way to the top of the hour. It's still some high-end threats, guys. It's 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's nickel-sized hail, which is damaging hail. Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa Beach, and Cape Canaveral, all within that new severe thunderstorm warning. Let me break it down for you. Severe thunderstorm warning for northern Brevard, southeast Orange, although most of this storm is getting out of Orange County as we speak. Severe thunderstorm over Port St. John, moving east at 25, but obviously they think some of this building south as well. 60-mile-an-hour winds and nickel-sized hail. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. It's Titusville, Rockledge, Cocoa Beach, and the Cape that will be impacted by this storm. You would expect there to be special marine warnings issued well ahead of the storms. There are. We have filled in the line with special weather statements. So the one in between is now for places like Melbourne, St. Cloud, Rockledge, and Cocoa Beach. That's for winds of 50 miles an hour. Storms are still strong right now over St. Cloud, moving towards Harmony, down the turnpike. Still, again, you'll see from time to time, if you guys see these green triangles, that's my radar system indicating the opportunity for a hail core. All right? I'll probably stop and just query that and see what we have. Hopefully it stays in that half-inch size. That's probably a little bit greater than P, close to dime-sized hail. Still will be a noisy storm, but hopefully not destructive hail with that. 40-mile-an-hour winds likely over Davenport, Haines City, and as far south and west as the Cypress Gardens, Legoland area, Winter Haven as well. Additional stronger storms are developing south and west. We've had a few storms in southwest portions of Polk County. That's a heck of a storm right now in interior sides of Manatee County, but it's out there relatively in the middle of nowhere. Additional storms have developed over portions of Pinellas and southern sides and western sides of Hillsborough County, right over McDill, South Tampa. So again, not great for the drive home over Bel Air and Largo. But you clearly get an idea that things are pretty widespread at this point in time over a lot of our area, with the worst cells, if you will, continuing to traverse off to the south and to the east. But additional storms are likely to develop even towards our west coast. Again, northern areas, a little bit better right now. The lightning count has actually gone up in the last hour. About an hour ago from this, kind of standard view I show you guys, is about 1,300 lightning strikes. We've upped it to nearly 1,700 now. So the intensity of the storms late on this Monday have certainly not waned any bit at this point in time. Again, appreciate everyone in the chat. Hope you're doing well. We do have a new member. Nick Foster is a new member of CFLW. Let's get the hearts out in chat for Nick. Nick, thank you for becoming a member of CFLW and the supporting channel in that way. You get access, if it's easy for me to say, to exclusive badges and emojis during the live streams. Shout you guys out. Your name is in green in our chat. And also in between these live streams, I do produce some member-only short videos, kind of my behind-the-scenes thoughts, when I might next be live, just kind of what's going on in between the live streams, and that's for our members only. So thank you so much for joining the Storm Squad. Take a quick sip of water. Okay. Let's go back to our velocity product here. Again, this is just going to let me know if any of the winds crossing the Indian and Banana Rivers is getting a little squirrely, meaning that there's a little bit of rotation. Right? If there's anything that I find of interest, I'll point it out. At this point in time, this looks like straight line winds, meaning the winds are going in one direction. Certainly the potential for some destructive winds. As I had mentioned in several of the last live streams with the storms hit Brevard County, because of the Space Force base, because of all of the information needed at the Cape, there are a ton of automated reporting stations here. We're going to get a lot of data coming in from those. I also have access to buoy data as well, okay? So I can show you guys buoy data on the channel, and I'll be monitoring that. So there's 41009. If you guys are boaters, you guys know that one. Right now, not a lot of wind at the Cape so far, but I'll be monitoring all of these for you guys. And I also, of course, have access to buoy data here in the Gulf as well. So we can see the winds either coming onshore or coming offshore, thanks to our ability to access the live marine observation areas as well. Yeah, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button, and subscribe to the channel as well. Again, welcome to our newest member, Nick, who says, happy to join, fascinated with Mother Nature. We'll keep you up to date from Northwest Palm Bay. I appreciate that, Nick. I appreciate all of our weather observers across Central Florida. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in for not only across the United States, but across the globe. I promise you there are international viewers to this channel. Some of you guys have been in the chat, and that just fascinates me that you guys are interested in what's happening here in Central Florida weather, but that's really cool for you guys to join us from across the globe. So we welcome everyone here to build a fantastic weather community, and that's what we continue to do, and you guys are the reason why. Again, a live interactive channel. I can jump on the chat with you guys. You can let me know what's happening in your area. That always helps things out from my perspective as we track these storms in real time. Again, Metro Orlando, hopefully improving conditions here. It's a lot of overcast, light and moderate rain, just like we had yesterday. Still some lightning. Look, be cautious. Even up towards Eustis and Umatilla and Mount Dora, there's still some embedded lightning within this. It's still not safe to be outdoors. When thunder roars, you head indoors. Again, it's always up to you guys, but a good kind of baseline, if you will, is don't go back outside until 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder. If you give you guys 30 minutes between the last clap of thunder and getting back out, you're likely going to be okay. Thunderstorms are developing over portions of Pinellas and the southern sides of Hillsborough County. I'll be monitoring those, but fair amount of lightning associated with some of that activity. We'll see if the winds freshen up there. And again, your special weather statements from Polk County back into Southeast Orange and Brevard. But the worst weather right now is slipping through northern sides of Brevard County. Mims, Titusville, Indian River City, Port St. John Sharps, 60-mile-an-hour winds up to nickel-sized hail. That is some damaging hail there. This will continue to track off towards the east, so it's going to cross the Banana River and then get over the Cape just south of the NASA Causeway in the Kennedy Center Visitor Complex here. So likely basically right over the launch complexes around 5:48. Again, the one thing about these storms with the 25 to 30 mile an hour forward speed, they're going to be moving very quickly. They're going to be in and out of one area fairly fast as well. But that's kind of the leading edge with that particular one. Let's track this area here, because I do expect a bit more of a southeast push on the southern flank of these storms. You notice how the storms have now built into Cocoa and Rockledge. So let's do that one. And again, fast forward speed. I think that's probably a pretty good movement here. So again, as this storm builds south and east, just more and more of Brevard County, right along I-95 and US 1, are going to be impacted. And eventually this is going to get into the barrier islands as well. So please pay attention. For Rockledge, right now, Merritt Island at 543, the Vieira area, Fisk Boulevard area, all the way down towards Wickham Road at around 545. Cocoa Beach, Pineda, the Pineda Causeway, across on over towards Satellite Beach, Palm Shores, between about 554 and 611 in those areas, from Pineda down towards Satellite Beach, and then down the Barrier Islands, including Indian Harbor Beach at 616, then back over towards O'Galley at 616 as well. So again, just a large area of some of the biggest populated areas of Brevard County being impacted by this severe thunderstorm. The northern and western severe thunderstorm warning is about ready to expire. It again has been replaced by this one, which extends a little bit farther east and south. That goes all the way until 6 o'clock. Your main threats are 60-mile-an-hour winds and some nickel-sized hail. Special weather statements align south of that, all the way back into Harmony and Holopaw across 192. Just hammer time earlier for Kissimmee, 50-mile-an-hour winds there. Again, I'm very interested to look at the potential for what happened in Buenaventura Lakes. We've already had a couple of reports in the chat about what might be happening in those areas. We'll get some local storm reports coming in too, guys. That's going to be the official reports from the National Weather Service office as well. So here's one in Buenaventura Lakes. It's not going to be a wind number, but it is going to be damage. Train spotter reported trees down and snapped in half along Simpson Road near Buenaventura Lakes at 4:37. That, my friends, is when we were tracking the 75 to 85 mile an hour winds. If you go back to the live stream, I circled this area and I said we were finding 75 to 85 mile an hour winds right here. Now, again, there's not a number reported, but it is trees snapped in half. And this was my biggest area of concern. That's why I'm on live for you guys here, so you understand the situation in your area. But it's not shocking that we're starting to get some ground truth reports of some significant and considerable structural damage and tree damage in this area with the 75 to 85 mile an hour winds that we likely had in some spots. Check out any more local storm reports. Haulover Canal had a 39 at 5:15, so not that long ago. Again, I told you there's a lot of reporting stations in northern Brevard County. We are not wanting for getting information from that area. Okay, so at 5:30, as we kind of reset things, severe thunderstorm warning continues for the northern sides of Brevard County. That storm is moving off to the east-southeast at around 25 miles an hour. If you live in this area, expect winds of 60 miles an hour and maybe some nickel-sized hail. That is damaging hail, by the way. That can start causing problems to shingles and your cars. You know, it's not the largest destructive hail, but nickels can cause some issues. Here's your gust front. You can see that again. Now, look at this green line. That is your East Coast sea breeze that is penned along the coast. So these storms, and this is the classic scenario like the last couple of days, as these storms get towards the East Coast sea breeze, additional activity is likely to develop right along that, the old wishbone here, right? There's one in, and there's the tip of the wishbone, and that's where we're going to see the interaction and the continued development that could still be on the severe side. The storms are also likely to slow up a bit. Now, they've got some good forward speed today, so it's not like they're going to put on the brakes to go down to stationary, but they're probably not going to be going 25, 30 miles an hour through most of Brevard County. So there's the opportunity for some additional areas of flooding here. It's still not a huge threat for today, but it's not zero. And the wind profile shouldn't relinquish itself anytime soon as well. We continue to see some winds in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range up and down this line until it pushes offshore. We do have a special weather statement now for portions of Manatee County in our area. And again, kind of in more rural areas, but for winds of 40 miles an hour, continuing to track the storms over portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough counties too. Hello, hello from a dark and windy Merritt Island. Thank you for that report. Appreciate you tuning in. Abs, good to see you. Hey, William, high winds and rain in Merritt Island. So 2 reports out of Merritt Island. Jared again from Port St. John, 3/4 of an inch of rain there. 28 mile an hour winds so far. Hopefully we can keep it a little bit around that rather than picking up the 50s and 60s. MCO resuming flight ops, so that's good. All right, appreciate that. Yeah, conditions overall in Metro Orlando are improving, okay? Not completely out of the woods, but they're beginning to improve, all right? Things are getting a little bit better here for the most part. Got to give it some time, right? Still some gnarly storms south and east, but overall, things are looking better at the hour, and that's good to see. Now, again, you know, we continue to just see a gray sky over the southeast side of Metro Orlando. This is looking back towards that severe thunderstorm. It's farther away now, but you can clearly see that it's still not a very fun-looking sky there. Even in western sides of Orange County, where the rain has pretty much subsided outside of some light rain and a rumble of thunder here or there, skies are still overcast. We're going to have slow clearing at best through most of Metro Orlando. It's just another wet late afternoon across Lake Buena Vista. Now, again, a lot of the lightning has exited the area, so hopefully improving conditions for the attractions. If you like to head out there for the fireworks displays later on this evening, things are looking pretty good overall there. Still quite windy in Conway. Winds are still probably fresh at 20 to 25 easily. The overcast skies in the southeast side of downtown Orlando. But again, the most significant storms have moved out of the way. Look, just like yesterday, my friends, generally speaking, without the sunshine returning to our area behind the initial line of storms, typically speaking, once the storms push through your area, you're done with the worst weather. But not going to be clearing out quickly at all. Overcast skies, light to moderate rain, and still the opportunity for some lightning and thunder could persist for several hours beyond when the initial push of severe weather or strong storms moves through your area. That's just a situation that we're in where it is limiting the chance for the storms to refire in these areas, but it's just not a very great late Monday afternoon across the region. And of course, all the widespread rain, regardless of the flood threat, has caused a lot of issues on roadways with things really slowing up and the blinding rains as well. One thing I'm going to check real quick here, guys. Just one second. All right, so we do have a flood advisory, and it is going to be for east central sides of our area. I'm going to bring that up. It's going to take 1 second for it to kind of pop up on my screen. It's probably my fault. I asked it to load all the NWS advisories at one time, so I churn it a lot. While we're doing so, and that comes up in just a second, we can go back to our cameras. Wow, that went fast. I'm going to give it an A for going as fast as we can. So look, on this product, you're going to see county by county advisories, okay? So you're going to see a flood advisory for Seminole, and then the flood advisory for Orange County, and then anything else that's in effect. But I can query these kind of individually. So here we go. For the flood advisory, a couple of them. The one that includes Seminole County goes until 7 o'clock. Minor flooding in low-lying areas, poor drainage areas. So again, in green and orange right now. Green is the flood advisory, but because there's a severe thunderstorm warning technically in effect for Orange County, it is going to show you the highest priority. So that's why Orange County and Orlando is in orange and Seminole County is in green. Anyway, just so you guys know. But both of them are under flood advisories. So Doppler radar indicated heavy rain with the thunderstorms. 2.5 inches have already fallen, and maybe an additional ½ inch. I agree with that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of heavy rain left over with what we're going to see for the next couple of hours through 7 o'clock, but the damage is already done. There's already some flooding of minor flooding of low-lying areas and poor drainage areas there. So again, low-lying areas, your side yards, anything that collects water quickest is likely to see some flooding right now. We also have a secondary flood advisory for basically kind of just Orange County right now, all right? So the northern one includes portions of Seminole. The central one includes central sides of Orange County, and I'll give you the areas coming up with there. 2 inches of rain have fallen, maybe an additional 2 inches in a couple of spots. That's going to be for places like downtown Orlando, Ocoee, Winter Garden, Winter Park, Windermere, Pine Hills, College Park, Conway, Azalea Park, Belle Isle, Oakland, Orla Vista, Fairview Shores, the Executive Airport, which is downtown Orlando, Edgewood, Gotha, Holden Heights, which is near downtown Orlando, Lake Butler, and the Tildenville area. Again, this goes until 6:45. The other flood advisory is until 7 o'clock. It includes Orlando north, like Oviedo, Winter Park, Castleberry, UCF, Goldenrod, Azalea Park, Union Park, and Aloma. So downtown Orlando, north and east till 7 o'clock, central sides of the Orange County area until 7 o'clock. Hopefully, though, there's not additional flooding. Hopefully, the worst is already done, and whatever is out there begins to recede a little bit. So that's the flood issues left over in Metro Orlando by the significant storms that came through a little bit ago. Now those storms are along the Brevard County coast. We have our one severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now for 60-mile-an-hour winds and nickel-sized hail. and then a smaller new severe thunderstorm warning farther south. This is the exact track that I put on this storm earlier, right down the I-95 US 1 corridor, southern Merritt Island and into the Barrier Island. So pat myself on the back, perfect track with that one. I'll go back to it here. Again, from the leading edge of that down at around 20, I'm going to go 20. I do expect, again, some decrease in forward speed. We'll look at the warning coming up in just a second. I would imagine they might have even made it 20, maybe 25 at most. So Pineda 553, Satellite Beach 607, Indian Harbor Beach 613, O'Galley 616, Indian Atlantic 625. Same situation for Melbourne June Park, West Melbourne 625 to 630. Then Melbourne Beach at 630 and Palm Bay at 637. This one has 3/4 inch size hail, just a little bit less hail size than the Nichols to the north. So now you really are on the teetering, if you will, of damaging hail. But if you live in these areas, take this storm very seriously. And again, if you can get the cars indoors, great idea. Hopefully not large enough hail to cause damage to roofs, but it is a potential situation. And look, if you do have hail damage to your property, just remember that the Lien Law Firm can help you guys out with that. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. So if you have had storm damage for today and you need to go through the insurance claim process, they can walk you through that. If you want to support someone who supports the channel, reach out to Bobby Lean and the team at lienonmelaw.com if you guys would like more information on that. If you would also like to be a sponsor of the channel as well, all you got to do is scan the QR code if you're a Central Florida business and you want to be a part of the sponsorship here at CFLW. Scan the QR code. That will get you to our email address. Let's talk. We'll work something out. If you want to sponsor one of the cameras, you can do so as well. So appreciate the Lien Law Firm being a sponsor from the beginning here of CFLW. Okay, back over to the chat. Hope everyone's doing well. The one thing I want to continue to look at here is reports out of Orlando, especially Buenaventura Lakes, for what we got. And again, additional storms south and west, a few non-severe storms in portions of Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. Folks there will be very glad to see that, minus any severe weather. So Richard says, getting really dark here, Lake Washington and Wickham there in the Melbourne area. Appreciate that. Yeah. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So the Vieira area, Fisk Boulevard, back down towards the Pineda Causeway, which is the 404 here. By the way, y'all got so many names for every road here in Brevard County. Every causeway has multiple names. The Melbourne Causeway, over the O'Galley area here, Palm Shores. And again, we're moving up on the radar site out of Melbourne. So I'll switch over as that storm moves in. But you can clearly see there is a bit of an east push with this. Merritt Island is covered up pretty good right now. Beginning to move right over Patrick Space Force Base. Satellite Beach will be next. And let me make sure as well. Just make sure I keep these wind gusts on. Make sure that if there's any wind gusts whatsoever, we get the report out of that. All right, so there's a 45 out of Merritt Island. So just happened at 5:35. I think this is going to be very common. I told you guys the wind field today with these storms is quite robust. About a 45-mile-an-hour wind there in Merritt Island. So even though there's a little bit of a notch here on the south side of the storm, as it moves over the Indian and Banana Rivers, right, you can see that. Notice how there's a little void in the radar right here. So you have some winds that are coming back into the south part of this storm, right? If you guys don't know, I was a meteorologist in Oklahoma City for 7 years. You know, tornado development and what it looks like on radar is nothing new to me. I can promise you that. It's a much different scenario here in Florida, which is where I'm from. I'm from Florida. High precipitation cells. You're going to very rarely see a lot of the true centers of where the circulation is going to be. So when I look at that and I compare it to the wind profile field from the Melbourne radar, which is right here. So this, again, very low level winds that we're looking into. Everything is still moving in one direction. These are all straight line winds moving from west to east. So despite the fact there's a little bit of broad turbulence here on the south end of this severe thunderstorm, I don't see anything trying to wrap up in the lower levels. It doesn't mean we can't spin up something briefly, especially a waterspout. But right now, again, these storms are behaving when it comes to any tornado threat. Again, the tornado threat today is low, but it's not zero, especially along the coastline with the friction difference between the rivers and what we're seeing. An extremely sharp outflow boundary from these storms. Once again, if you live in our southeast areas, these storms continue to track your way. So a lot of rumbles of thunder behind that, but Brevard County is the action right now. Good to see you, Charles. So Nick, the email address at the bottom of your screen is the easiest way to do so. So Mary says Melbourne near O'Galley, and she corrected herself for the next one, near Wickham, starting to get really dark and windy. Appreciate that. Good to see you, Charles. Hope you're doing well. So just like yesterday, there's what we call a mesoscale discussion that's come out for the severe potential. Of course, the government website is quite slow. Anyway, the bottom line is that they continue along that line in south and east for additional severe weather to potentially develop as we go through the rest of the afternoon hours. Look, if you guys joined me yesterday and we were tracking these storms, I told you anywhere that these storms move through during daylight hours, hold on to your hats. Once we hit sunset and we lose the heat of the day, the storms will begin to diminish. Now, these were earlier arrival storms yesterday. They made it as far as Fort Lauderdale. But if you go back and you look at the radar loop from yesterday, as soon as we hit sunset, those storms just fell apart. Now, they're not going to get as far south and east before that happens again for today, but still, for a lot of Osceola, the rest of Brevard, Indian River County, then back towards places like Fort Pierce, back down into Highlands County, maybe portions of Manatee County as well. Additional strong to severe storms are likely over the next couple of hours. Party with Peg and Artie, which is an absolutely glorious name, by the way, says, thank you for the commentary, Rusty. My pleasure, Peg and Artie. I appreciate you tuning in. Again, a live channel here. I'm only on when there is impactful weather in Central Florida, bringing you the current state of affairs for you guys. Again, the interactivity is what really makes this channel, so thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking and subscribing and helping the audience from this channel. Maybe you are just seeing us for the first time for today, where I promise you if it was on your YouTube homepage, it's because all of our friends of the channel have helped the interaction and the prominence of this channel for others who don't even know we exist to find us. And please, thank you for sharing this channel with your family and friends. Appreciate those who are members of the channel who want to support the channel in that way as well. And again, just thanks for everyone tuning in on this now late Monday afternoon. We'll get to 6 o'clock. We'll call it early evening. To set the scenario, we'll continue to see overcast skies, widespread light to moderate rain through most of Central Florida for the next couple of hours. The storms will continue to progress to the south and to the east, producing additional strong to severe weather through our southeast areas, at least through the next hour. This storm right now is ripping across the northern sides of Brevard County. Again, the wind field is expansive. The storm is strong. Port St. John, Sharps, Cocoa, the Cape, back down towards Rockledge. This leading edge here is a pretty gnarly part of the storm that's going to be moving through the southern sides of Merritt Island towards Vieira North and Pineda. Back over to the Space Force Base, Satellite Beach, Palm Shores, Indian Harbor Beach, O'Galley, Melbourne, and Melbourne Beach, all included within this severe thunderstorm warning, which will go until 6 o'clock. Now, whether the Weather Service wants to extend that farther south, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like the storm has probably leveled off as far as intensity goes. Not seeing any higher reflectivity from that at this point in time, but still gusty, damaging downburst winds are a particular problem with this cell. Again, the 45-mile-an-hour winds at Merritt Island are going to be pretty widespread, pretty common at this point. You see that? Jared helping out. Indeed, Amy, all eyes are on Brevard County right now. Also Polk County, too. Strongest storms, Brevard, but certainly Polk County at this point in time. Now, again, both severe thunderstorm warnings are going to expire at the top of the hour. So they didn't extend this warning any past 6 o'clock. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, you notice that the Cape is also reporting now a 37-mile-an-hour wind. So now we're picking up basically 40 to 45s from the Cape back down to Merritt Island. So the Kennedy Center Visitor Complex will be included in that kind of wind field. Earlier, we had the 50s in Kissimmee, and I promise you this again. We'll see if we can get an estimate from the Weather Service office, but we have likely seen 75-plus mile-an-hour winds in Buenaventura Lakes today, maybe even up to 85. Few storms developing coastal Pinellas County, Indian River Shores, and Largo. Good lightning count with that. Over 175 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes. And again, our live camera network here at CFLW. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We've got our live cameras for you guys. Conway, Winter Garden, Lake Buena Vista, other areas as well. We continue to add on to that. So our densest cluster of cameras is over the Metro Orlando area. We've got our Conway cam. We have two now in the same lake area. We have Lake Buena Vista. We have Winter Garden. We also have one in Winter Park, which is down for maintenance right now, but we'll bring it back up. But we continue to, again, add additional cameras and able to monitor the situation for you guys. So, again, here from our interactive map, let's say that there's a thunderstorm over the Metro Orlando area and that thunderstorm is moving into Winter Garden. Well, I tap that button and the Winter Garden camera comes up and we can both track that storm live with the radar and then look at the storm from our camera network as well. So again, a lot of technology here at the channel that we have really worked hard to bring you guys. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of it. If you do so, again, just appreciate you hitting that like button and subscribing. But a lot of cool features on the way to provide you guys the absolute best coverage that we possibly can here in Central Florida to keep you guys up to date with these storms. Hello, Larry. Hope you're doing well. Ain't what you think back in the house says, yeah, buddy, when we all found Rusty, we settled with the best and forgot the rest. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much. Again, if you're interested in finding out about me, first of all, you can probably just Google my name if you really want to, but television meteorologist for 25 years. I was born and raised in Florida. I'm from Crystal River. I know Central Florida weather. I was running from tropical storms and hurricanes as a kid. Spent the last 17 years either in Oklahoma City for 7 years or Orlando for the last 10 years. So a lot of experience with the kind of weather we see here in high-end severe weather events. and happy to join you here on my YouTube channel, Central Florida Weather Live. Also have a Caribbean weather channel. You want to check that out. That's Media Mundo. You'll find the links to the description below. And again, I cover impactful weather in Central Florida live. So that could be storms like this with our sea breeze interaction or any other activity. If there's any tropical storm or hurricane situation, you know I got you guys covered. We'll do that live as well. But anything impactful. Earlier this year when we had the freeze in Central Florida, I came on a couple of evenings in a row just to make sure everyone was aware of just how darn cold it was going to get and make sure you guys were prepared for the kind of temperatures we were going to see. But appreciate everyone who has found us, and I hope you're doing well. Larry coming in saying we're starting to get some storms in Pinellas County right now. So St. Pete, by the way, western zones, much appreciative to see some of this rain. If we can avoid the severe weather in those areas, that's not going to be a bad scenario there. Everyone is still under either abnormally dry conditions or still a full-blown drought here in Central Florida. So I'm almost out of water. The only other thing I brought with me was a Red Bull sugar-free. Not the biggest fan, but quenches the thirst. So they did issue a special weather statement with this cell. So this is interesting. For our western areas, special weather statement now for Pinellas County. We're going to take a look at that storm from the Tampa radar. As you guys know, we can switch our radar sites here to cover these storms at close range for you. So special weather statement now for the next 33 minutes till 6:30. Tampa, Clearwater, Largo, Pinellas Park, Seminole, St. Pete, Bay Pines, South High Point, Harbor Bluffs, the Gandy, Feather Sound, West and East Lealman, Ridgecrest, Palm Harbor, East Lake, Safety Harbor, Oldsmar, Treasure Island, and Kansas City. So just a lot of Pinellas County, and then trying to move across the bay, Gandy, Howard Franklin, places like that. So strong thunderstorm over Harbor Bluffs, if you know that area, near Largo, moving east at 15. Winds of 40 to 50 possible there. So monitor that one, but obviously not fantastic for places like Clearwater. 60, 19, Bel Air Beach, Indian Rocks Beach, Indian Shores, and the Largo area. All seeing the most significant part of that storm. And it's a solid one, my friends. Within this cell, there has been over 230 lightning strikes in just the last 15 minutes. So that's one I'll be monitoring for the Tampa St. Pete area. I told you it may not be completely done, even in our far western zones. Now again, after sunset, we're likely to lose a lot of the punch of these storms. So it's going to be hard for the activity in the eastern Gulf to make its way back into places like Levy and Citrus County before that happens. But farther south, with the storms being closer to the shore, not out of the question. So the Weather Service has now extended the special weather statement to cover the rest of Brevard County and into portions of Indian River County. That being said, what this tells me is they're likely to allow these severe thunderstorm warnings to expire, and they have replaced them with special weather statements. So hopefully the intensity of the storms coming down, I mean just a notch. Just a notch. But hopefully nothing too crazy. Still the 45 at Merritt Island, the most that we've seen. The new special weather statement will go until 6:30, so it's going to coincide with the Pinellas County special weather statement. Winds of 50, again, category lower. No mention of hail. Love to see that. Palm Bay, Melbourne, Titusville, Rockledge, and Sebastian. So again, sneaking into the northern sides of Indian River County. Let me also include my friends in the Grant, Valcaria, and the Mico Barefoot Bay areas as being under this special weather statement. Same thing for Yeehaw Junction in the southeast side of Osceola County. Again, 91 is the turnpike. Storms are covering up the turnpike through Osceola County. The additional special weather statement here for Kissimmee, Intersection City, Holopal, Westlake, Toho continues until 6:15. That other special weather statement is about ready to expire here, although that storm looks just as potent in interior Manatee County. So we'll see what they want to do with that one. This new special weather statement basically encompasses this one, just kind of an extension of that. And again, here down to the second, literally counting down to the 10th of a second, when this severe thunderstorm warning expires. Remember, a lot of information always on the screen for you guys. I've set this up as easy as possible so that I don't have to go over absolutely everything. If maybe you're just tuning in and you just missed me talking about a storm, you will see what it is. Yellows are special weather statements, reds are severe thunderstorm warnings, purples are tornado warnings. You will see the expiration, how long out it's going to be, and then you'll see the impacts for that. So 50-mile-an-hour winds as a potential impact. If there is a hail threat, the hail size will be included with it. Thankfully here, the special weather statements for Brevard and Osceola counties into Indian River counties don't include a hail threat any longer. These storms are moving deeper to the south and to the east. Now, back over to Pinellas County. As I was speaking, I saw that they issued a severe thunderstorm warning here. All right. So the storm over Pinellas County, that one's come up a notch. They literally put it right over the special weather statement. Again, likely what happened is they got a report of winds of over 60 because it's the same area. This storm is rocking and rolling in Pinellas County right now. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 6:30. East at 17. Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Largo, Pinellas Park, Seminole, Safety Harbor, Oldsmar, Kennis City, Madeira Beach, all included within this new severe thunderstorm warning. Yes, thank you. The hand of God gives me water. Or my wife. All right, here we go. Severe thunderstorm warning for Pinellas County and West Central Florida till 6:30. Over the Ridgecrest area, again, this is basically just a reiteration of the special weather statement, but upping up to a severe thunderstorm warning. East at 20, so there is some fast forward speed. Again, damage to roofs, siding, and trees, 60-mile-an-hour winds. It's bad right now across 19. Not a fun drive towards the coast as well. Reddington Shores, Indian Rocks Beach, Bel Air Bluffs, Largo, Bel Air, Clearwater areas up the road towards Dunedin. The next line is going to be places like Seminole, Pinellas Park, Safety Harbor, and Oldsmar. Let's get a track on this. All the way up to Palm Harbor. It's a little bit even north of that severe thunderstorm warning where it's really beginning to develop. East at 20, excuse me. All right, here we go. Pretty good forward speed is going to pull it into Hillsborough County. So, Palm Harbor, now. Safety Harbor, 612. Pinellas Park, 616. Same thing for the Oldsmar area, Town and Country, 632. Carrollwood, 644. Egypt, Lake, and Lolito area, 647. Tampa, 655. University Inn at 658. So, moving across places like the Gandy and the Howard Franklin, 60. Over the airport, all areas included or nearly included in this severe thunderstorm warning. St. Pete is included in this. Leoman, Kennis City, Pinellas Park. Up towards the airport, that's the PIE there, that's the designator. So the St. Pete Airport. And we'll see what happens as it crosses over the bay and into the western sides of Hillsborough County. Hey, Craig, good to see you. In Valrico, wants to know if we're going to get some of that storm. Yeah, so Valrico was an area. Mango was the report of the 72-mile-an-hour wind. So Valrico is in the Brandon area here. Brandon, Seffner, Valrico, Mango, Dover, all right within this area. We'll see how this storm tracks, to be quite honest, Craig. Not exactly sure yet. We'll see if it holds together. But through, let's say, about the 7 o'clock hour, it should stay west of you. If it can still hold together after that, it is going to arrive into deeper central and eastern sides of Hillsborough County before we hit sunset. So that storm does have a chance to move into your area. I'll be monitoring the situation. But first things first, Pinellas County first. But I appreciate you coming in to the chat and asking that question. I hope you're doing well. Granny says it's getting dark there in Melbourne. I would assume so. Terry checking in from the village of Lake Tarpon in Palm Harbor. So far, so clear. Just on the edge there, Terry. Let me know if you get scraped by it, but we're likely going to see the strongest part of that storm miss you just to the south. But I appreciate the information. Nick has the winds picking up in Palm Bay. Yes, ain't what you think. East Highland County does still have a chance. So NP Reynolds says we had really high winds, down branches, and lightning. Thanks for your coverage. I appreciate that. I might have missed exactly where you're from. Again, one thing is always just remind me in the chat, hey, Rusty, I'm viewing from here. Here's what I saw. So if you wouldn't mind just letting me know, I appreciate that. Exactly where you're located that had more down branches. Because we're going to start getting a lot of reports from you guys of some issues when it comes to down trees, down limbs. I mean, again, Buenaventura Lakes had literally snapped trees with winds that were probably 75 to maybe even 85 miles an hour. As I have told you, we do not have to worry about the storm reports in northern Brevard County thanks to the Space Force Base and the Cape and all of the wind sensors that are necessary for our launches. So 39 there, 41, 53, highest so far, 43 on the west side of the Indian River, 47, Rockledge area 59. So there right now is the worst wind. Tower 940, and again, there's all of these towers around this area. 54 feet in elevation, had a 59 mile an hour wind from the northwest. At 5:30, then a 46 at 5:25. So 5:30, we'll call it a 60 mile an hour wind in the Rockledge area. And again, if you're just tuning in, we had what was considered to be a considerable severe thunderstorm south central, southeast sides of Orange County near the Buenaventura Lakes area. I was covering that for you live when I was tracking what could be 75 to 85 mile an hour winds. Train spotter reporting trees down and snapped in half along Simpson Road near Buenaventura Lakes. Someone else in the chat said that screens were out. I imagine there's a lot of pool screen damage there in the Buenaventura Lakes area and potentially other areas of South Central and the southeast sides of the Orange County area. Grace says palm fronds blowing all over the neighborhood, pinwheels on full speed ahead. So MP Reynolds there was in central Merritt Island. Thank you for letting me know. Merritt Island did report at least a 45 mile an hour wind, at least. But look, as I've mentioned with these storms, the wind field was the big concern for today. It wasn't going to be potential damaging winds within just the core peak parts of these cells. This was going to be a widespread wind event today, and it has absolutely borne that out. We continue with the special weather statements here. Storms potentially just coming down a category. I hope to not get the 60 mile an hour winds any longer in these areas. But again, very widespread 40 mile an hour winds. I mean, they're pretty consistent from the Cape to Merritt Island back to the Space Force Base. That's basically a solid 40 mile an hour wind there. The 45 at Melbourne, and again, the Rockledge report of 60. Big time embedded lightning as well with that. Heavy downpours. Still not too concerned about the overall flood threat here. If I go back over to the advisories, just a special weather statement here. Still have the flood advisory till 7 o'clock for northern Orange, Seminole counties till 7, and then central areas, the flood advisory until 6:45. But hopefully the water is receding now. We haven't had a lot more rain. I need to kick out one of my, I don't have enough on my stand here. I got to kick out. It's basically like gold, silver, bronze with my drinks. I kicked out the, basically the empty vitamin water for the water. So the question is, are we good in Indian River County? The answer is, while you may not see the peak level of storms that Orlando and Brevard County did, whatever is still out there is headed your way. These storms are headed right for Indian River County. Main threat will be some winds of 50 miles an hour. What I would do is just simply, if you live in Indian River County or areas south and east of these storms, make sure you secure any lightweight, loose objects in your yard. Get the car inside the garage if you can. No big hail threat out of this right now. And then otherwise, just ride out these storms inside. Obviously, when thunder roars, you head indoors. With 50-mile-an-hour winds, there's not much you can do. Not expecting some widespread damage. If a roof is older, if the shingles are compromised, can a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust cause some damage? Yes, but something significant and widespread, likely not. Obviously, we're not going to see hail large enough here to hopefully cause any additional problems with that. But there could have been some hail that was large enough in size in northern Brevard County to cause some problems. I have not seen a report there as of yet for that, and hopefully that's not the case. But the Weather Service severe thunderstorm warnings were up to nickel-sized hail. So again, in Pinellas County, the severe thunderstorm warning continues until 6:30. This storm continues to move off to the east at around 20 miles an hour, I believe, right? 20 to 25. 20. It's getting deeper into Pinellas County. The storm has now made it to the Palm Harbor area, moving across towards Oldsmar. It is going to sneak into Hillsborough County, the northwest side of Hillsborough County first. This is headed right over Pinellas Park. The southeast side of the warning goes to the St. Pete area. The storm will then cross the Gandy and the Howard Franklin. They have issued a special marine warning. This is going to be for Pinellas and Hillsborough Bay, along with the Gandy, Cockroach Bay. I love some of the names here too. Courtney Campbell included in that as well. And again, that's going to be for winds of around 35 knots, up to around 40 miles per hour. Again, the Gandy, Old Harbor Bay, Howard Franklin. Look, hopefully all non-commercial vessels are back into areas of safe harbor. Yeah, PSJ is Port St. John. There are some abbreviations from time to time, even on the old map here, but yeah. The other interesting thing too is, guys, is that the lightning count is still pretty darn high. 13 plus 100 lightning strikes. To give you an idea, again, I want to reiterate this fact. It's moderate rain at the worst over Metro Orlando with the overcast skies. You can see our live cameras in Metro Orlando, but we've still had nearly 30 lightning strikes in just the last 15 minutes. It's still dangerous to be outside in Metro Orlando. You got to just respect this. It's the same scenario as yesterday. Despite the fact that the worst storms have pulled to the south, the storms are still producing lightning, and you don't want to be caught outdoors when that's the case. All right? Improving conditions north and west, but from Orlando to Sanford and Daytona Beach, respect the fact that we still have a fair amount of lightning in association with the activity that we're currently seeing. To give you an idea, continue to see some rumbles of thunder in Winter Garden. Look, west side of Orlando. You can even see a little bit of clearing along the horizon. Once again, this camera is looking west. So you're looking towards the sunset. The last several evenings, just towards sunset, skies have cleared out enough right on the horizon to produce some beautiful views here. It's still quite overcast, Sand Lake. Again, gray sky, light rain, still some rumbles of thunder here. Look how dark the sky is still in southeast Sand Lake. Again, punching through some of those darker areas, it almost looks like night outside. Water-loaded atmosphere to go along with all of the wind there. One last camera for you at the hour. Still a bit of a breeze in Conway with the overcast skies here. But again, this is an area, when I zoomed in to the 30 lightning strikes in Orlando, this is one of the areas included. It doesn't look horrible outside, but you go out there to pick up a couple of things, and the next thing you know, you hear a rumble of thunder, and you're right back indoors. So just to reiterate the fact that, despite the fact that the worst storms are past Metro Orlando, we've still got some lightning to contend with here, and it may not go away until sunset. It's going to take a while for that veil to kind of dissipate, and the lift in the atmosphere to go away, and for things to calm down completely. Certainly the worst is gone, but completely, we got a ways to go. Okay, I wanted to make sure I don't miss anything. I want to get the hearts out for Tim. $5 super thanks. Tim, thank you very much. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I told you guys, busy around here today. So let's get the hearts out in chat for Tim. I'm never going to leave a super thanks behind. I appreciate that. I'm trying to find it right now in the chat. But Tim, if I can't get it on the screen, I do say thank you very much for it. I know it was probably a little while ago, but thank you for that, my friend. That's very kind of you. There thankfully has been a heck of a lot of chat for today. Oh, here we go. I found it. Excellent. Score. So again, super chat, super thanks, always gets priority on the screen. Now again, if you want to get my attention, super chat with a question, happy to answer that question as well. But thank you for keeping me updated, says Tim. And Tim, I appreciate the support of the channel. So thank you so much, my friend. Hey, Joanne Bradenton in the house. Hope you're doing well. All right, so let's get back into our scenario. Again, we continue to follow the severe thunderstorm warning in Pinellas County. We have our special weather statement storms out east. These storms, some of the worst weather is beginning to push offshore. We like to see that. I'll switch over to the Melbourne radar right now just because still quiet enough right near the Melbourne radar where we can get a little bit better view here of these storms. Clearly, the bulk of that storm has moved off of the Cape towards the Space Force Base, Satellite Beach. That's good news. That's that spaceship kind of look to the sky, I promise you. Low deck of clouds there. Scattered activity in our special weather statement. It's very interesting that behind the outflow boundary, it's almost kind of dots of rain and storms right now rather than fully lined up. Another cluster of storms that are not severe, southwest side of Polk County. And again, following our severe thunderstorm here in Pinellas County that goes for the next 11 minutes. Now, the interesting thing here is that the Weather Service out of Tampa has pulled a new special weather statement into western sides of Hillsborough County. So that's going to include downtown Tampa. Now, the good thing is that they didn't make it a severe thunderstorm warning, all right? So we do have things overlaying themselves a lot here. So I'm going to take this piece by piece. First thing is the severe thunderstorm warning continues for Pinellas County. It goes until 6:30. Your main threat, 60-mile-an-hour winds and maybe even some 3/4 inch size hail. Anyone who lives in Pinellas County, let me know in the comments section below what you're seeing right now. Again, I'll bring on the wind gusts. I have access to buoy data here as well along the west coast and the bays. So I'm going to bring on our buoy observations. So again, nice dense network of buoys and reporting stations here in the Tampa-St. Pete area. I'm going to wipe out the severe thunderstorm warning and bring on the special weather statements so you can see that now as the storm pulls east, likely once the severe thunderstorm warning expires at 6:30, they're not going to reissue it unless they think the winds are going to reach 60 miles an hour again. So we're now going to see a special weather statement until 6:45 for that storm producing winds of 40 miles an hour. So that includes downtown Tampa, Temple Terrace, Lutz, Keystone, Northdale, Tampa International, MacDill, Egypt Lake Lido areas, Citrus Park, so kind of up the Veterans Expressway for places like Citrus Park and Odessa, Carrollwood, University, East Lake and Orient Park, East Lake, West Park. How many Eastern Lakes can there be? Oldsmar, the Busch Gardens area, South Tampa, including Davis Island, University of Tampa, and the Peter O. Knight Airport. So basically, Metro Tampa area here in this new special weather statement. Again, Davis Island, South Tampa towards MacDill included in it, up towards Seminole Heights, Temple Terrace, University, Northdale, Citrus Park. Odessa's just to the north of that, actually. Town and Country included in that. All right, so I'm going to bring back on our severe thunderstorm warning. So special weather statement, severe thunderstorm warning, special weather statement. Let's go back over to the Tampa radar to cover this storm for you guys. And again, there is additional activity lurking offshore. Can't rule out that some of it's going to try and make a run towards our west coast before we hit sunset. You can see that north of this special weather statement, we do have some rain for Tarpon Springs and Port Harbor, Newport Richey, Port Harbor, Newport Richey, storms producing about 70 lightning strikes in a 15-minute time frame there. So building up the Pasco County coastline. Generally speaking, these storms are just far enough offshore where they're likely not going to get back to the west coast before they fall apart a bit. Just like last night, we did have a couple of storms make the west coast into the evening hours. They were solid storms with a fair amount of lightning, no special weather statements for the most part, no severe thunderstorm warning. So I can't rule out again some activity getting back to the west coast. If you live in coastal Hernando or Pasco counties, you know what I'm talking about. Some of those storms were able to make that area late yesterday evening. Stella lives near Busch Gardens. Zoe, when you say south is good, how far south are you talking about? First of all, never get scared about weather, guys. Okay, that's why you're tuning into this channel. I got you covered. If there is important information to pass along, I'm going to let you guys know that. All right. Tone of my voice should give you an idea of what I expect. If you tune in earlier, you notice how serious I got with the winds near Buenaventura Lakes. That was a dangerous situation with winds of 75 and even 85 miles an hour. The storm moving through Pinellas County is severe, but it is likely to be weakening a bit as it moves over the bays and into the western side of Hillsborough County. If the Weather Service office thought that these winds of 60 miles an hour, which we haven't gotten a report confirmed that the winds have been 60 in this area yet, but if they thought this storm was going to stay that strong, this would be a severe thunderstorm warning and not a special weather statement. Now look, we could still get some 40 plus mile an hour gusts. We will get some very heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning. Storms are moving very quickly today. I've mentioned this many times. These storms are moving at around 25 and even 30 miles an hour. They'll come with torrential downpours, all right? However, that being said, they're moving so fast where big-time flooding is not likely in most areas. We could have ponding on roadways and some flooding of the low-lying areas, the areas that collect a lot of the water. But true, widespread, significant flooding is not likely when a storm is moving as fast as it is. If we go back out to the broad perspective, and I bring on a couple of products I like to look at from time to time. If we look at the rainfall totals over the past 12 hours, once again, radar estimated, but look how broad the 2+ inch rainfall totals have been. Nothing in the 4, 6+ range for the most part, but there's your, pockets of 2 to 1.5. It's just so common. By the way, this is exactly where the flood advisory has been. For the 1.5 to 2, maybe 2.5 inches of rain, Oviedo, and that swath right along the 408. We talked about how the storms lined up across the 408 in downtown Orlando. This is where the Weather Service office issued the 1 flood advisory. But everyone got something for the most part today that has seen some of the storms. But the fast movement has limited the amounts to manageable numbers, okay? But very widespread, 1, 2, maybe 2.5, and that's about it. We're not seeing 4, 6 inches of rain as totals. When I wipe these numbers out and I switch over to precip rates, this is how much rain is falling per hour. So you're going to get some pockets here of a few inches of rain per hour on these rainfall rates. They're not even as high as they were earlier with these storms. So per hour, right? If a storm sat over an area for 60 minutes, how much rain would it get? Storms are also moving very quickly. You're not going to get that whole total in one storm. Again, you can see here off of the coastline, that storm was 3.5, 4. Now earlier we were tracking storms that were actually producing rainfall rates of 4 to 5 inches an hour, but not as concerned today because of the fast forward speed of the storms. Storms look to be behaving themselves relatively well through our special weather statement right now. It does expire in 3 minutes. They have not issued another one as of yet. You can see the Melbourne last report was a 36-mile-an-hour wind at 6:11, so 16 minutes ago. Nice little cell over Grant, Valkyria at the hour. That's just a good pulse up of an individual cell within the special weather statement. It is beginning to move into Indian River County, but not as lined up as it used to be here. New special weather statement for the Okeechobee area. Strong thunderstorms over portions of far southwest sides of Polk County into Hardy County. Some over the interior sections of Manatee County. And again, this cluster of storms here, there's so many advisories. You've got your special marine warning for the bays and the bridges in blue. 2 separate special weather statements, and then embedded within is your severe thunderstorm warning. Now again, they're not expecting this storm to produce 60-mile-an-hour winds into Hillsborough County, so that's why the special weather statement is in effect rather than the severe thunderstorm. But it's beginning to get bad over the Veterans Expressway from Town and Country up towards Citrus Park. Just a solid part of that storm. Let's track it. Again, east at 25. They're ripping pretty good. Carrollwood, 634. Northdale, 635. Egypt Lake, Lido area, 638. Lake Magdalene at 642. The University area, 646. And Lutz. Temple Terrace, 654. East Lake, 657. And then into the Mango, Seffner, Valrico areas at around 707 to 711. Brandon, north side of Brandon would be included in that as well. Welcome from Lisbon. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate that. Again, thanks for hitting that like button and subscribing as well. Thanks for everyone in the chat too. Kevin says the rain beginning to lighten up. And Granny C makes a great point. Rusty had me call him yesterday. Look, we respect the storms, okay? We're not fearful of them. We're not frightened of them, but we respect them, all right? And when there's, information to pass along, I will do that. But, we want to, again, we don't want these storms to emotionally impact us when they don't have to, all right? We've probably all been through some storms we would rather forget, I myself included in that, but we don't want to be fearful on a daily basis of these storms coming in. For the most part, most areas are just fine, but we know we live in Florida. There's a ton of lightning. There's a ton of thunder. There's going to be noisy storms as they move across the area. Now, look, I will let you guys know my honest assessment of things. And there are some pretty squirrely winds in association with some of the activity a little bit earlier today. I do like the trend in the sense of that the storms are falling apart a little bit over Osceola and Brevard into Indian River County. Really, the storms a little bit farther to the south have been able to gel up a little bit more. So the Okeechobee area, Avon Park, Sebring, special weather statements. That storm is for 40-mile-an-hour winds. The one over Okeechobee is up to 50. And again, now we've relieved ourselves at 6:30 of the special weather statement for most of Pinellas County and the severe thunderstorm warning. Now we've got one special weather statement for the next 14 minutes for the central, but mainly western sides of Hillsborough County. So here's what it is from the National Weather Service office. Strong thunderstorm impacting northwest Hillsborough through 6:45. Doppler radar tracking a strong thunderstorm near East Lake or Clearwater, moving east at 25. Winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. And again, the areas that I've already mentioned here, because we already looked at the special weather statement, are the ones that are affected. I'm not going to read them again, but you get the idea that from MacDill, Davis Island, north on up towards Citrus Park and Carrollwood and downtown Tampa, under this special weather statement for the next 14 minutes, your main threat, again, will be winds of up to 40 miles an hour. And that's what we had in Pinellas County, right? 35-mile-an-hour winds at the airport there, at the St. Pete Airport. KPIE. Downtown St. Pete had a 20-mile-an-hour wind. MacDill had a 20. Nothing outrageous. Certainly not these 72-mile-an-hour winds on Friday that the Mango area had. Kevin says he lives near Largo. See if I can pull that up on our chat here. All right, Largo and Pinellas, Florida, raining cats and dogs severely. I think there's a little bit ago. I appreciate that. Again, it's hard for me to know exactly what y'all's names are with these ats, but JSTRIE275 says 2 days ago the storm took my power out in Valrico, Brandon for over 8 hours. Yeah, that was the storm that had the 72-mile-an-hour winds at the Executive Airport in the Mango area. You got Mango, Seffner, Brandon, Valrico, all kind of in a small area, if you will, in Hillsborough County, and that was a huge wind bag that came through. That was, if you wanted to correlate an event, the storms that moved through that area Friday that had the 72-mile-an-hour winds are the exact same scenario that went through Buenaventura Lakes today that likely had 75, maybe even up to 85-mile-an-hour winds. Again, if you guys go back in the live stream, I was tracking that live for you guys from the terminal Doppler radar out of MCO, where we were looking at literally the beam height at 60 feet. So basically at ground level, I was picking up to 85-mile-an-hour winds moving through Buenaventura Lakes. Not a good scenario. Again, the official report from the Weather Service office are trees snapped in half in Buenaventura Lakes. So the kind of same downburst, outflow winds from that storm from Mango on Friday, very much correlated to what we saw today in the south side of Metro Orlando. Question from the chat, Southwest Hillsborough getting those storms. Southwest, likely not this activity, right? If you're talking about getting back down south of like the Gibsonton area or especially down towards Ruskin, you could catch the southern extent of this, but the severe special weather statement is not that far south of Ruskin. Gibsonton, it would be, but the storm is also weakening a bit and really kind of more concentrated on the northern side of this special weather statement. So I don't want to say that the southwest side of Hillsborough is going to be completely storm-free, but likely the most intense part of that storm is going to stay north of the Ruskin, Gibsonton, Riverview areas. And again, rain, a little bit of lightning and storms, Tarpon Springs, Holiday, Newport Richie up to Bayonet Point. But right now, the worst part of this is over Northdale, Carrollwood, Citrus Park, along the Veterans, the 589 in that area, beautiful part of Hillsborough County, over towards University, Temple Terrace, near Lutz, Pebble Creek. That's a big golfing community. Lando Lakes, Wesley Chapel on the north side of that. Sam says the storms are dying down in Davenport, Laughlin, Florida. No tornado today. What you see on your screen are the potential impacts out of the storms. The tornado threat today was low, but it wasn't zero. A brief tornado or a water spout was possible. So you'll always see on your headlines the impacts that are potential from this storm. And then you're going to get the detailed information at the ticker at the bottom of your screen. Are the Tampa storms going to reach Buffalo Christmas? No. No, way too far west. Hey, Palm Bay Jags fan. Says, very windy and hard rain, just got home from work. Appreciate you tuning back in, Palm Bay Jags fan. Hope you're doing well. Hope the drive was not too harsh for you. Lorene says that storm a couple of days ago ripped a tree out of the ground in Lando Lakes. There you go. Yeah, again, tree damage, significant within some of the storms on Friday. And we're going to hear the same situation in the southern sides of Metro Orlando out of those storms as well. Hey, Red, White, True News. I do still have Media Mundo. Yes, it's my Caribbean and Bahamas channel. I actually just put out a video right before I came on air. Like literally, I posted that video for that channel and then jumped on live for you guys. You can find a link to the Media Mundo channel on the homepage of CFLW. If you would like to support me in that way as well. I do cover all Caribbean weather and all tropical weather on that channel. That is a forecast video channel, but I also go live during times of tropical storms and hurricanes. This is a live only channel, right? So I'm only on at times of impactful weather here in Central Florida. Whether that's our storms that develop during the wet season with the sea breeze and we get the severe thunderstorm risk on a daily basis and the flooding risk, that will obviously include tropical storms and hurricanes here in Central Florida. That's how the channel got started. I was tracking storms with Hurricanes Helene and Milton. That was kind of the beginning of the channel. We've revamped the channel in many different ways. We have our live camera network, a lot of technology here on the channel that we continue to bring to you guys. And hopefully you're getting something out of it. And if you are, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I would suggest if you hit that bell icon, that's the notification button, for this channel, I do recommend having all notifications on. Again, because this is not a forecast video channel, you're not going to get inundated by notifications from me. If you get a notification from me, it's because I'm on live and a reason for you to tune in. So I do suggest, if you want the most out of this channel, to have all notifications on. So, as storms wind down a bit, you guys know that I like to say, the trend is your friend. And the trend in Brevard, in Osceola, Indian River counties is your friend. These storms are beginning to weaken as we've moved deeper across the 6 o'clock hour. There is no longer a special weather statement with the storms in the Grant-Valcaria area, Micco, Barefoot Bay, Roseland, Sebastian. Look, still could be some good downpours, still could be some frequent lightning, but we're not going to see any damage out of this. We're going to see some potentially gusty winds, but I'm not too concerned about what I've been seeing over the last half hour or so in southern Osceola and Brevard and in the Indian River counties. The storms have kind of redeveloped and propagated to the south from Avon Park and Sebring back over towards Okeechobee, a few more storms over Port St. Lucie, and then we have this one storm that has pushed on shore with this special weather statement in portions of northwest Hillsborough County, right across the Veterans Expressway right now from Town and Country to Carrollwood up towards Citrus Park. That goes for the next 5 minutes. You notice that the Tampa Weather Service office did not make that special weather statement an extended one. It expires at 6:45. The cell itself really has kind of fallen apart on the south side. It's still fairly strong here from the Seminole Heights area north towards University and Northdale and Cheval areas. So kind of even lifting north of where that special weather statement is. But overall, the cell doesn't look extremely intense. If I zoom in enough, just on the north end of that special weather statement, there's only been 10 lightning strikes. So the storm really was quite potent over coastal Pinellas County. And then over the last 45 minutes, the storms have spread out. But as they've done so, they've weakened a little bit too. Now, if you do live in our western coastal areas, from Levy and Citrus County, Hernando and Pasco, Pinellas, back down Manatee and Sarasota counties, a few storms that are offshore could make a run through the west coast later on this evening. They did that yesterday evening. They hit some of our west coast areas from a time. But again, you know, after the heat of the day, not nearly as strong for the most part. Not really concerned overtly about these storms kicking up anything that would cause any big concerns. But for our western areas, it's been the driest part of Central Florida the last several months and really all of 2026. So these areas could use some more rain. So as long as we can get storms back in, producing some rain and not severe weather, fine with that. And I'm sure you guys are as well. People asking about tomorrow. Now today, look, we had the marginal risk of severe storms. Tomorrow, it is likely to be quieter, okay? I haven't done a lot of analysis about tomorrow yet. I was so busy for today. We're not under a risk for severe storms for tomorrow. Now, I will say this. The Storm Prediction Center, who issues those risk outlooks, has really been upping the game the day of. Almost every day as we go into something, we haven't been under a risk, and by the morning hours, we will be. There still could be some juice with the stalled out boundary to the north and to the west of us. If I show you guys the widespread rain here, and actually let me bring on the enhanced satellite imagery too. Bring on the infrared here. We're going to have a boundary. And if you guys remember yesterday, we talked about this a little bit as well. Some weak troughing in the northern Gulf at this point in time. And there has been waves of energy getting kicked out of the east central Gulf and back through our area. Could we reload it again for tomorrow? It's not out of the question, right? A general trend is that I think our storm chances, not only with the severe weather potential, but the overall number of storms is going to continue to diminish throughout the week. We are still fighting some Saharan air and some drier air in our southern areas. So far, the activity and all the instability in the mid-levels of the atmosphere to our north has won out, and we've had these rowdy storms pushing through. It is certainly kind of a clash of titans, if you will, with the drier air to the south and the boundary and all of this activity to the north. And again, a fair amount of, thunderstorm activity with this. I'll put on the radar product as well so you can see it all together. Now, eventually, this boundary is going to stall out in the northern side of the Gulf. And if you even look at my media window video for today, and I mentioned it in yesterday's live stream, can't rule out a weak or low-end opportunity for some kind of tropical development in the northern Gulf late this week, this weekend, maybe early next week. The models, it's a low chance. The Hurricane Center, as of the last time I checked, wasn't even discussing it. Some of the ensemble models, like the European, have really picked up on at least a low shot for that to happen. Regardless, I think it again ups the chance for some showers and storms in our area, and at least for the southeast, keeps things on the wetter side. So it's a situation that will continue to evolve. Again, if you guys are members of the channel. That's not the subscription, but if you want to become a member, part of our Storm Squad, that's the join button. You get access to exclusive member videos in between these live streams. A situation like this is something I'll probably include in those member videos if you guys want to check that out. But I'll be monitoring the situation. Of course, any tropical potential in Central Florida will be covered live on the channel. Again, appreciate everyone in the chat. Certainly, the trend is our friend here. Storms continue to diminish a bit. I'm going to go back over to our local storm reports again real quickly. I'm curious as to this one. Remember I told you they upped the special weather statement to a severe thunderstorm warning. I haven't looked at this one yet. Let's see if this one says anywhere near 60. Nope, just 42. Okay, not bad. So towards Largo, Baskin area, 42 mile an hour wind. Never had the 60s from that one. Again, so many reports here. And then earlier, we had the reports in Buenaventura Lakes. Oh, and see, this is looping because I still have it on loop. So again, just to confirm here real quick. Okay, here's another one. Osceola Emergency Management and the City of Kissimmee report several downed trees near the intersection of Massa Street and Mill Run, Fulton Road, Mill Slaw Road, and the 2400 block of Deborah. So the bottom line is, again, it's the exact area that I was covering live, right on the turnpike and east, over Buenaventura Lakes, just on the west side, northwest of East Lake Tahoe, for the 75 to 85 mile an hour winds. I think we're likely to just continue to get more reports and pictures and videos in from Buenaventura Lakes of some massive tree damage, probably a lot of screen damage to homes, hopefully nothing more than that. Now, it's a perfect time to mention one of the sponsors of the channel, the law firm of Central Florida. Look, they help you through insurance claim processes, okay? Offering free consultation and policy reviews. If you do have some storm damage and you want their help, reach out to them. You can scan the QR code. It'll take you to their website. All right. Great people, Bobby and the team there. They're tremendous people. They wouldn't be sponsored the channel if they weren't. Wouldn't have them on if I didn't feel fully confident in them. Check them out by going to leanonmelaw.com for more information. If maybe you are a owner of a business here in Central Florida like Bobby is, and you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the channel as well, you can scan the QR code in the top left-hand side of your screen. It will take you to our email. Just shoot me an email, say, hey, Rusty, I want to talk to you about it. You could be a sponsor of the channel itself or of one of our camera network across the area as well. All right, so back out to it. Here at 6:45, we've seen the last of the special weather statements go away. Expected, right? This storm was falling apart a bit northwest side of Hillsborough County. Temple Terrace, Carrollwood, Northdale, Lutz, Land O'Lakes. Storms will be moving across towards Pebble Creek and Wesley Chapel. Again, this is not severe, but rain, lightning moving back into that area. You look to the west, you're going to see it. Special marine warning continues for the bays until 7 o'clock. Storms are developing and stronger farther south now. Okeechobee towards Sebring and Avon Park. The trend is good over Indian River County, southern sides of Brevard. Still a big swath of light to moderate rain through a good part of central and the eastern sides of our area. Again, even though this is just some light rain, we still have 13 lightning strikes here. So please just respect the fact that there are still some embedded lightning strikes. And this is just in the last 15 minutes, by the way, right? So again, I know it might be tempting to get outdoors, but if you don't have to, probably just a good idea to let it be for now. Okay. Assessing a couple of things here. But listen, The bottom line is I like where we are right now, all right, with the storms here in Central Florida. Just like the scenario yesterday, with the overcast conditions, we're likely to not have the juice in the atmosphere to pop up additional strong storms, all right? So likely we've seen the worst of the weather move across your area. For the next hour, storms in this part of Florida moving south could still be strong to severe. Once we get past 8 o'clock, we begin to lose the heat of the day, especially towards the latter half of the 8 o'clock hour. Those storms should quickly fall apart. Because they developed later today, they're not going to get as far south as they did yesterday. But for Central Florida, we are done with the severe storms for the rest of this Monday. I do want to, again, caveat the fact that if you live along our west coast, some scattered showers and storms could make a run towards the coast during the evening hours, maybe even close to midnight. Those storms will not become strong or severe, but there could be some good downpours and gusty winds and some lightning to go along with it. But considering the drought and the dry conditions that we've seen, that's not a horrible scenario for our west coast. So because our severe weather threat is done, I'm going to wrap up this live stream right now. First of all, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you for the tremendous support, and our audience continues to grow here on the channel. Thank you to all of our moderators of the chat. Thank you to those who became either Storm Squad members or supported the channel. I want to thank Smart Grandma. I want to thank Nick, and I want to thank Tim for their support of the channel during this live stream. Memberships are always open. Support of the channel is always available as well. If nothing else, thanks for taking a quick second, hitting that like button for me and subscribing to the channel. Again, a live-only channel. I'm only on where there's impactful weather across Central Florida. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to our moderators. You guys have a great rest of your Monday. Whenever there's impactful weather again in Central Florida, I'll be back on live. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. If it's later down the road, it'll be later down the road. But I've got you covered here on the channel. Thank you again, my friends. You all take care. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll be back with you soon here on Central Florida Weather Live.